Phoenix Nights. Chapter 2003. A lost martial arts battle technique has resurfaced in this world. The old mansion lord's hoarse voice resounded in the pavilion. Everyone was incomparably shocked. It had been a long time since the old mansion lord sighed in admiration. "It seems like our Central Province immortal mansion will lose another quota," the old mansion lord said. "Lord Mansion Lord, could it be that Wu Daoyi is actually not a match for Gu Fei?" The eldest senior brother of the group of elders said in a trembling voice. Wu Daoyi was a peerless expert ranked in the top 3 of the top 10 heroes of the Central Province Immortal Mansion. "You should know that in the distant past, invincible cultivators in the same realm wasn't just a legend, but something that really happened," the old mansion lord said. He wasn't optimistic about Wu Daoyi's chances. Although Wu Daoyi was very strong, in this grand competition, if it wasn't for his opponent being Gu Fei, there would definitely be a spot for him in the top 100. The group of elders in the pavilion was speechless. At this time, on the Black Devil Ridge, Gu Fei and Wu Daoyi were engaged in a fierce battle. Wu Daoyi was slammed into the mountain by Gu Fei's heaven-covering palm. Wu Daoyi then broke out of the ground and displayed his divine ability. Countless silver needles danced around his body, transforming into rays of almost transparent light that pierced towards Gu Fei. A grown man learning how to play with needles like a woman. Gu Fei was speechless. This Wu Daoyi was indeed different from the others. He was very proficient in using his flying needles. Even a woman wouldn't be able to play with needles as well. Countless rays of light that were hard to see with the naked eye pierced towards Gu Fei. Gu Fei used his movement technique and moved rapidly in the air. These rays of light formed by the divine needles were very fast. Gu Fei only felt a stabbing pain on his shoulder. He knew that he had been hit by a few silver needles. It was unknown what kind of divine material these silver needles were made of, but they could actually pierce into Gu Fei's skin and flesh. Moreover, these silver needles could even enter his body through his blood and qi. Humph! Gu Fei coldly snorted. His physical strength erupted, forcibly forcing out the silver needles that had pierced into his shoulder. When Wu Daoyi sensed that his silver needles had been forced out of his body, he was extremely shocked. After all, the needles he practiced were different from the others. Once the needles pierced into a person's flesh and blood, they would be difficult to force out. They would enter the person's body through the person's qi and blood. Then, with a thought from Wu Daoxing, the needles would explode. Although it was just a small silver needle, the power contained within it was enough to blast a great perfection quasi-sage into ashes. It was incomparably powerful. However, before Wu Daoyi could make a move, Gu Fei had already forced the silver needles out of his flesh, causing his silver needles to be useless. "Roar!" Gu Fei bellowed. Immediately after, an incomparably powerful wave of essence qi burst out from his body. Primal chaos Dao patterns emerged from his body. "Let's see if your divine needle is stronger or if my martial body is stronger." Gu Fei's physical strength was on full display. Primal chaos Dao patterns condensed in his flesh and bones. At this moment, his flesh and bones were bestowed with the power of the Grand Dao. Although there were many Dao patterns on his body, if one looked carefully, they would only see 9 Dao patterns. How is this possible?" the old prefecture master exclaimed in a pavilion in the immortal mansion of Central Prefecture. In front of him was a huge dazzling mirror, which clearly displayed the fight between Gu Fei and Wu Daoyi on the Black Demon Ridge. When he saw the primal chaos Dao patterns on Gu Fei's body, the old prefecture master immediately cried out in excitement. "Lord Prefecture Master!" The elders in the pavilion couldn't help but be surprised to see the old prefecture master so excited. It had been a long time since the old prefecture master was this excited. The old prefecture master was a super antique who had lived for countless years. Even the current prefecture master of Central Prefecture Master had to greet the old prefecture master as ancestral master. "It's the 9 sanctification Dao patterns. How is this possible? How could such Dao patterns appear on someone who's only at the peak of the quasi-sage realm?" The old prefecture master couldn't help but be moved. One had to know that the 9 sanctification Dao patterns could only truly condense and take form when one became a sage. How could it appear on someone who hadn't even become a sage yet? As expected of a super antique who had lived for countless years, the old prefecture master quickly calmed his emotions. Then, after a careful observation, he discovered something strange. The 9 Tao patterns that had appeared on Gu Fei's body were blurry, as if they were still in the process of evolving. So it's only the embryonic form of the 9 Tao patterns, not the true 9 Tao patterns. The old prefecture master suddenly understood. Even so, the embryonic form of the 9 Tao patterns was enough to shock the world. After all, this was the foundation of becoming a sage. This young man's future was limitless. Among all the cultivators participating in the Central Prefecture Grand Competition, he had the highest chance of becoming a sage. While the old prefecture master was in awe, the duel between Gu Fei and Wu Daoyi had reached its climax. Gu Fei directly used his martial body to resist Wu Daoyi's divine needles. Gu Fei's martial body was fully unleashed, and Tao patterns appeared. His entire being was like a humanoid immortal metal. Wu Daoyi's divine needles were directly deflected when they struck Gu Fei's body. The situation had reversed. Gu Fei was now undefeatable. It was only a matter of time before Wu Daoyi was defeated. The outcome was irreversible. In the end, Wu Daoyi had no choice but to admit defeat. He handed over his jade token and turned to leave. Although he was unwilling, he wholeheartedly accepted his loss. Gu Fei's cultivation was indeed strong. He could feel that Gu Fei had not used his full strength. The news of Wu Daoyi's defeat spread quickly. The morale of the Central Prefecture Immortal Mansion was greatly affected. First it was Jun Wuya, then it was Wu Daoyi. 2 of the Central Prefecture's 10 prodigies had already been defeated by Gu Fei. Gu Fei left the Black Demon Ridge and entered his own inner world. If he guessed correctly, those fellows in the Central Prefecture Immortal Mansion would not find an opponent for him so quickly. Therefore, he could first adjust his body to its peak condition. As expected, after Wu Daoyi's defeat, the elders in the Central Prefecture Immortal Mansion were instantly thrown into disarray. The Central Prefecture Immortal Mansion had lost 2 spots to walk the human race's ancient road. Gu Fei's potential was limitless. He was probably invincible among those at the same level. Because of the Central Prefecture Grand Competition, the city was already overcrowded. Cultivators could be seen everywhere on the streets and alleys. In a courtyard within Central Continent City, there was a man and a woman drinking with each other. It was noon and the sun was shining brightly. However, the trees in the courtyard made it very cool. Humph, big brother, that guy has disappeared for 10 years. He finally showed up. A girl in purple said fiercely. Big brother, if I meet that guy, I'll definitely help you vent your anger and beat him up. Don't be reckless. 10 years is not a long time, but it's not a short time either. No one knows how strong that person's cultivation and strength have become. The man in purple said solemnly. The man and woman were Ziyun Xiao and his sister. The Ziyun clan still had some businesses in Continent Center City, so Ziyun Xiao and his sister temporarily lived in this courtyard in the city. I heard that Jun Wuya and Wu Daoyi, one of the 3 sons of the Central Prefecture, were defeated by him. Ziyun Xiao's frown deepened. The 3 sons of the Central Prefecture have an undeserved reputation. How can they compare to you, big brother? I have confidence in you. Ziyun patted Ziyun Xiao's shoulder and said. Ziyun Xiao glanced at his sister and said, The 10 geniuses of the Central Prefecture are not undeserved. I've seen Wu Daoyi before. His cultivation is probably not below mine. Big brother, why are you praising others and belittling yourself? If you have this kind of mentality, I think even if you meet Gu Fei, there's no need to fight. Just admit defeat. Ziyun said. All right, let's not talk about this anymore. There's a competition tomorrow. I need to prepare. As Ziyun Xiao spoke, he stood up and walked into the room. Humph, Gu Fei, you little brat. Don't let me meet you. If I do, I'll definitely let you have a taste of my fist. Ziyun waved her fist and said fiercely. I didn't expect Big Brother to be so strong. He actually defeated Wu Daoyi. In an inn in the Central Prefecture, on a futon in a room sat a Taoist in azure robes. This Taoist was the Iron Blood Taoist. After Gu Fei and Gu Zhong left the 13 Iron Blood flags, the Iron Blood Taoists also left the 13 Iron Blood flags. Then, the Iron Blood Taoists came to the Central Prefecture to participate in the Central Prefecture Grand Competition. The news of Gu Fei defeating Wu Daoyi naturally reached the Iron Blood Taoists' ears. The three sons of the Central Prefecture did not have an undeserved reputation. They did not earn their fame by being called out, but by fighting with their strength. Wu Daoyi's defeat at the hands of Gu Fei made all the cultivators wary of Gu Fei. They were afraid that they would meet such an abnormal opponent in the grand competition. Gu Fei entered his own inner world. Naturally, he did not know that he had become so famous. At this time, the elders of the Central Prefecture Immortal Mansion who arranged the written test deliberately told some of the experts with potential to avoid Gu Fei. It should be known that if these people met Gu Fei, there would only be one ending: they would be eliminated. The elders of the Central Prefecture Immortal Mansion naturally did not want to see too many geniuses being eliminated. This Gu Fei was simply a genius killer. On the peak of a mountain, a woman in golden armor was fighting a sword cultivator. This sword cultivator was extremely powerful. The sword chi that he released could soar into the sky and cut through everything. The woman was obviously stronger. Very quickly, the sword cultivator abandoned his sword and admitted defeat. Gu Fei, I'm really looking forward to it, the golden goddess muttered to herself. At this time, Gu Fei was very depressed. There had been no news from his jade token for a few days. He even suspected that he had been forgotten by the people of the Central Prefecture Immortal Mansion. Chapter 2004. The Middle State Grand Competition continued. Because there were too many participants, it was hard to determine the top 100 in such a short amount of time. At this time, Gu Fei hadn't received any messages from the Middle State Immortal Mansion for several days. His jade token had been silent for a few days already. Just as Gu Fei was getting impatient, Gu Fei's jade token finally moved. Middle State Immortal Mansion's desolate pocket world? What kind of place is that? Gu Fei was surprised. The message he received was only a place with no opponents. What did this mean? This made Gu Fei very confused. However, soon after, the Middle State Immortal Mansion sent a few more messages. When Gu Fei saw these messages, he finally understood what had happened. It turned out that there was a desolate pocket world in the Middle State Immortal Mansion. After the ancient desolate world was destroyed, a supreme saint used his power to capture a small fragment of the desolate pocket world and refined it into a desolate pocket world. The Middle State Grand Competition had already entered the climax. 500 experts from various places stood out. Now was the time to determine the top 100. The 500 experts would be sent into the desolate pocket world to compete for the spots to enter the human race's ancient path. The rules after entering the desolate pocket world were very simple. As long as someone collected 5 jade tokens from others, they would be able to leave the desolate pocket world and obtain the qualifications to enter the human race's ancient path. This was an elimination system of 5. The 500 experts were scattered all over the desolate pocket world to compete for the last 100 spots. Gu Fei arrived at the Middle State Immortal Mansion on time. At this time, there were already hundreds of people waiting. Gu Fei, it's really you. Ziyun Xiao walked over. Beside him, there was a young girl in purple. This young girl was Ziyun Xiao's younger sister, Ziyuna. Ziyuna looked like she would never grow up. She still had a cute appearance. Gu Fei, you better be careful. Once you enter the desolate pocket world, I'm going to beat you up. Ziyuna waved her fist at Gu Fei. Hearing that this person was Gu Fei, the surrounding cultivators. Shua! Everyone dodged to the side. This guy was famous for his strength. Even Wu Daoyi had been defeated by him. Many people had already made up their minds that as long as they saw Gu Fei's shadow, they would have to take a detour. However, this little girl actually dared to openly challenge Gu Fei. Her courage was truly commendable and worthy of admiration. You want to beat me? Hee hee. Gu Fei smiled. Even though Ziyuna's cultivation base was not weak, she was definitely no match for him. Could this little girl have some sort of trump card? The Ziyun clan was a sovereign clan. A clan like that had an extremely deep foundation. It seemed that I had to be careful. If I were to fail at such an easy task, then I would be in deep trouble. Gu Fei, you'd better return that drop of god blood to me. Ziyun Shao stared at Gu Fei and spoke in an extremely serious manner. That drop of god blood was extremely important to the Ziyun clan. In the past 10 years, Gu Fei and Gu Zhong had hidden themselves in the Phoenix's Nest, the headquarters of the 13 Iron Blood Banners. Even when the Ziyun clan sent out all the experts, they could not find Gu Fei's whereabouts. Now that Gu Fei had appeared, Ziyun Shao naturally did not want to let go of the chance to retrieve the drop of god blood. Gu Fei glanced at Ziyun Shao and said, "Since it's in my hands, do you think I'll just give it to you like this? What do you want in exchange for the drop of god blood?" Ziyun's smiling face turned bright red. She had the urge to punch Gu Fei in the face. Let me think. I've got it. How about this? You stay by my side and serve me for 100 years. Then I'll return the drop of god blood to you. Gu Fei pondered for a moment before saying, "You don't even think about it." Ziyun immediately jumped up. This guy was really asking for a beating. The Ziyun clan cannot accept such a condition. Ziyun Shao was furious after hearing Gu Fei's words. However, after facing the wall for 10 years, his self-control had improved. Even though he was furious, he endured it and did not explode. "Then there's only one way for you to retrieve the drop of god blood," Gu Fei said. "What is it?" Ziyun Shao and Ziyun's eyes instantly brightened. Hee. Gu Fei smiled and said, "It's very simple. You just have to defeat me and the drop of god blood is yours." "You!" Ziyun Shao gritted his teeth and clenched his fists tightly. He was on the verge of pouncing forward and beating Gu Fei up. "If we could defeat you even if we had to die, why would we still be here talking nonsense with you? Did you really have nothing better to do?" Clang! Just as Ziyun Shao was about to go berserk, a bell rang from the depths of the Immortal's estate. Then, a few old men with white hair walked down from a pavilion. "Everyone, please follow us," the leader of the group of old men said to the crowd and walked towards the depths of the Immortal's estate. Within the Immortal's estate, there were beautiful sceneries everywhere. There were birds chirping and flowers fragrant. There were small bridges and flowing water. It was like a paradise on earth. A place like this occupied a radius of 100 miles. Within this radius, there were many pavilions dotting the landscape. There were also many entrances to the grottos. The entrance to the Burish little world was located in the depths of the Immortal's estate. Soon, the crowd followed the group of old men and arrived in front of a stone door. "This is the entrance to the Burish little world. If the jade plate in your hands is broken or stolen by someone else, you will be teleported out of the Burish little world. At the same time, those who are teleported out of the Burish little world will lose the right to walk the ancient road of the human race," the leader of the group said. "If you have no objections, we will open the Burish little world." The old man looked at the crowd and said. No one said anything. This was very fair. 500 experts would enter the Burish little world and rely on their own strength to obtain the jade plates of others. As long as they collected 5 jade plates, they would be able to obtain a spot to enter the ancient road of the human race. This seemed simple, as they only needed to collect 5 jade plates. However, among the people who managed to reach this stage step by step from the grand competition of the central province, none of them were weak. The competition in the Burish little world was extremely fierce. Apart from a few strong people, the others would have to engage in a fierce battle to determine the winner. The few old men moved. There was a seal on the stone door. The old man used the secret technique of the Immortal's estate to undo the seal. The tightly closed stone door slowly opened. An ancient aura of the Burish little world immediately gushed out from behind the stone door. It was as if there was a real Burish little world behind the stone door. Everyone couldn't help but be moved. The Central Province Immortal's estate was really generous. They actually had such a small world. Some people were incomparably shocked because they knew that this boorish little world was most likely refined from a small fragment of the great desolate world. The ancient aura of the boorish little world was definitely not fake. Chapter 2005. The aura of the wilderness is overwhelming. This is indeed a desolate world. Gu Fei stood on top of a tree and looked around. Everything he saw was greenery with towering trees standing on the ground. These trees were huge. The smaller ones were more than 300 meters tall, while the bigger ones were more than 3,000 meters tall. Their huge canopies covered a radius of 20 to 30 miles. Such trees were considered rare on ancestral planet Buzhou. Vines could be seen climbing up these trees. It was unknown how long these vines were. For a human to appear in such a place, it was practically negligible. It was very insignificant. Roar! The roar of beasts came from afar. Many large birds flew out from the forest. The creatures in this desolate world were very powerful. Even those large birds emitted a fierce, murderous aura. This was the result of countless slaughters over a long period of time. The desolate world was not peaceful. There were wild beasts here, and it seemed that some people were going to be out of luck. A powerful and ruthless aura came from the forest in the distance. Gu Fei couldn't help but frown. There were wild beasts in the forest ahead. This sort of savage beast was very territorial. As long as it was a living being that trespassed into its territory, it would mercilessly hunt it down and eat it. This was the desolate world, a world where the strong preyed on the weak. Only the strong could survive here, and the weak could only be eliminated. What a miraculous teleportation formation! It actually sent everyone to different places in this world. Gu Fei sensed that there were no other cultivators nearby. In other words, the 500 experts were separated the moment they entered this world. This was the same as the virtual sky world. It also sent people to different places. This way, it would not be easy to collect the 5 jade plates. First, they had to find the cultivators in this small world. Humph! Gu Fei sneered and soared into the sky, flying towards the depths of this small world. Iron Blood Taoist was undoubtedly lucky because he successfully became one of the 500 experts, and was allowed to enter this small world. In this small world, he only needed to defeat 5 people. However, his luck seemed to have disappeared the moment he entered the wildlands. Leave behind your jade pendant and scram. At this moment, the Iron Blood Taoist was blocked by 3 experts in a valley. One of them looked like a wild man. He wore beast skin and held a mace in his hand. His tall body was surrounded by a terrifying murderous aura. The other 2 were 2 young Taoists in Taoist robes. I didn't expect that the people from the South Pole Immortal Manor would actually be colluding with someone as ferocious as the Mad Wolf. Today, my horizons have been broadened, the Iron Blood Taoist said coldly. The 2 young Taoists were from the South Pole Immortal Abode, while the savage was a savage from the southern region of Buzhou Ancestral Star, the Mad Wolf. Humph, we are only temporarily working together. What collusion? Don't make it sound so bad, a young Taoist said. Brother Iron Blood, you don't seem to be a good person either. The 13 Iron Blood banners have harmed countless people. You're the boss of the 13 great bandits, so of course you're worse than them, another young Taoist said. Why are you wasting time with this person? Kill him with one strike and continue to snatch the next one, the Mad Wolf said impatiently. If that's the case, then do it. The 2 young Taoists immediately retreated. They did not intend to do it themselves. TSK, what kind of righteous sect are you? You're so timid and cautious. The Mad Wolf walked forward and smashed the mace in his hand at the Iron Blood Taoist. The violent force caused pitch-black spatial cracks to appear around the mace. The Iron Blood Taoist could not help but change his expression. Swoosh! The Iron Blood Taoist took a step sideways, wanting to dodge the Mad Wolf's attack. However, the Mad Wolf was not an ordinary expert. His mace changed from smashing downwards to sweeping across. Whoosh! The pitch-black mace swept towards the Iron Blood Taoist, stirring up a strong wind that hurt the skin of the Iron Blood Taoist's face. He could barely open his eyes. This guy, the Iron Blood Taoist, was really shocked. The other party's physical strength was very strong, and he could easily change his move in an instant. This made him a little helpless. Roar! The Iron Blood Taoist roared angrily, and the shadow of a blazing phoenix suddenly appeared on his body. The Mad Wolf's mace smashed onto the shadow. The powerful force directly sent the Iron Blood Taoist flying, and he broke 7 or 8 trees in a row before stopping. Wow! The Iron Blood Taoist stood up from the ground. Suddenly, his face flushed red, and he opened his mouth and spat out a mouthful of blood. He looked a little tired. Humph, what 13 great bandits! They're all people who don't deserve their reputation. They can't take a blow from me. The Mad Wolf rushed towards the Iron Blood Taoist. The entire ground shook with every step he took, as if a giant was running. This guy, the 2 successors of the South Pole Immortal Abode, couldn't help but be shocked when they saw how fierce the Mad Wolf was. The ferocious name of the Berserk Wolf was indeed wild and ferocious. Moreover, this guy was also incomparably strong. Many people had died under his mace. Die! The Mad Wolf raised the mace in his hand and smashed it at the Iron Blood Taoist. The powerful force shook the sky and earth. Ridiculous! You think I'm a sick cat if I don't show my power? The Iron Blood Taoist was shocked and angry. The Mad Wolf was indeed fierce, but he was not to be trifled with. The people of the Iron Blood 13 banners were not to be trifled with. Boom! An extremely powerful aura exploded from the Iron Blood Taoist's body. He used the Immortal Bird mystic art, and his injuries instantly healed. Swoosh! He left an afterimage on the spot, and his real body dodged the mace. Boom! The mace hit the ground, and the earth shook. The trees within a few hundred meters all fell, and the ground undulated like waves. A large crater appeared in front of Mad Wolf with this strike. At this moment, the Iron Blood Taoist's right hand was like a huge blade, slashing at the Mad Wolf's waist. The power of the Immortal Bird gathered in his right hand, and his entire arm turned into a saber light, condensed from the divine fire of the Immortal Bird. Bang! The Iron Blood Taoist's hand landed on the Mad Wolf's waist, but the Mad Wolf wasn't split into 2, nor was he sent flying. He only staggered 5 or 6 steps to the side before regaining his balance. What? The Iron Blood Taoist was dumbfounded. There wasn't even a mark left on the Mad Wolf's waist. His attack seemed to be scratching the Mad Wolf's itch. Unexpectedly, Berserk Wolf's physical body was so strong that he could withstand a strike from a great perfection half-sage and emerge unscathed. Only Gu Fei's martial body could compare to such a strong physical body. Very well, you've successfully angered me. The Mad Wolf's eyes shone with a murderous light. He continued to attack the Iron Blood Taoist, using his mace to force the Iron Blood Taoist to retreat. He was actually suppressing the Iron Blood Taoist. The Iron Blood Taoist's Immortal Bird mystic art was extremely mysterious. This mystic art was best for taking hits, and any injuries suffered by the body could be healed in an instant. Without any suspense, the Iron Blood Taoist's defeat was only a matter of time. Moreover, among the 3 of them, only the Mad Wolf was attacking. If the other 2 from the South Pole Immortal Mansion were to attack, the Iron Blood Taoist would have been subdued long ago. Bang! The Iron Blood Taoist was sent flying again with a swing of the mace. A trace of blood seeped out from the corner of his mouth. The other party was too strong, and he was no match for him. Go! Since he couldn't win, he would retreat. Just as the Iron Blood Taoist was about to leave, the other 2 from the South Pole Immortal Mansion moved. You guys! A figure appeared in front of the Iron Blood Taoist, blocking his path. Hand over the jade pendants and everything will be fine. A young Taoist in front of the Iron Blood Taoist said as he pressed forward. A strong immortal aura was emitted from his body. The South Pole Immortal Mansion was a legacy of the Immortal Tao. These 2 Taoists were both at the Greater Mastery Quasi-Sage realm. Don't even think about it. The Iron Blood Taoist's eyes were about to spit fire. These 2 fellas were truly despicable. He wanted nothing more than to tear them to pieces. These people were too despicable to trap him in this valley. These fellas were more like bandits than he was. Don't waste your breath on this fella. Just kill him. We have to quickly gather the jade pendants and leave this place, the other young Taoist said impatiently. The Mad Wolf and the other young Taoist nodded. Then, the three experts rushed towards the Iron Blood Taoist together. There was no way the Iron Blood Taoist could fight against the three of them. Preposterous! Just as the Iron Blood Taoist was about to use a secret technique to perish together with these people, a figure suddenly appeared in the sky above the valley. It was a young man dressed in black. The Iron Blood Taoist immediately sensed a familiar aura coming from above him. Boss, save me! The Iron Blood Taoist immediately shouted without thinking. Don't worry. Haha, another one who's not afraid of death. We're in luck today. We got 2 jade pendants in one go. The Mad Wolf laughed. To him, the 2 jade pendants were already in his hands. However, the 2 successors of the South Pole Immortal Mansion were much more meticulous than the Mad Wolf. Since when did the Iron Blood Taoist become someone else's lackey? To be able to subdue someone like the Iron Blood Taoist, this young man in black was definitely not simple. Go to hell. The Berserk Wolf soared into the sky, raised his mace, and smashed it down on the black-robed young man. However, a scene that left everyone dumbfounded appeared. The black-robed young man merely extended his right hand and used it to directly grab the mace that was smashing down. What? Chapter 2006. Among the southern Bujo barbarians, there was an impressive figure. That person was like a wild beast and was extremely ferocious. Hence, he was called Mad Wolf. Mad Wolf was regarded by the barbarians as someone with the bloodline of the ancient barbarians. People like him were born with extraordinary strength. Even if he didn't cultivate the barbarian tribe's cultivation method, he could still tear lions and tigers apart. He was much stronger than the average barbarian. Moreover, the bloodline of the ancient barbarians had already awakened in Mad Wolf's body. His physical body was even more terrifying. He was much stronger than the average advanced stage sage. In the entire southern Bujo barbarian, even Zi Yunxiao wouldn't dare to take an attack from Mad Wolf with his bare hands. However, what shocked everyone was that someone actually took an attack from Mad Wolf with his bare hands. Furthermore, he grabbed Mad Wolf's mace with one hand. How is this possible? Even the 2 cultivators from the South Pole Immortal Abode were shocked. They couldn't speak for a long time. This scene left them dumbfounded. How could there be someone with such a strong physical body? Moreover, this person was a human. The physical body of humans was much weaker than that of demonic beasts. The barbarian tribe's physical body was publicly recognized as the strongest among the human race. Of course, some humans with special physiques would also have a terrifyingly strong physical body. Bam! The man in black exerted force with his right hand that grabbed the mace. The mace immediately flew up and smashed towards Mad Wolf. What? Mad Wolf was shocked. He exerted force with both hands, trying to control the mace. However, he only felt a huge force coming from the mace. His hands that were holding the mace immediately cracked, and blood seeped out. This force was so strong that he couldn't resist it. This shocked Mad Wolf to the extreme. Roar! With a roar, he channeled all his strength into his hands. Only then did the mace that was smashed back to him stop its momentum. At this moment, the mace was only a few inches away from Mad Wolf's head. He was almost hit by his own mace. This made him tremble in fear. However, at this moment, the black-clothed man had already arrived in front of Mad Wolf, and he threw a punch at Mad Wolf. Bam! Mad Wolf, together with his mace, was sent flying by the black-clothed man's punch. The violent force shook him so much that blood oozed out of his mouth and nose. The barbarian race's Mad Wolf was defeated just like that. The 2 experts from the South Pole Immortal Manor were dumbfounded. One must know that this barbarian was incomparably powerful. Even if the 2 of them joined forces, they would only be able to fight him to a draw. I didn't expect him to be this powerful. Even the iron-blood Taoist was stunned by the battle prowess displayed by the man in black. This man was too strong, and he was probably invincible among those of the same level. The iron-blood Taoist was well aware of how powerful the mad wolf was. The man in black who saved the iron-blood Taoist was none other than Gu Fei. He just happened to pass by and sensed the aura of the iron-blood Taoist, so he came over to take a look. However, he did not expect that the iron-blood Taoist would actually be blocked by 3 fellows in the valley. After all, this iron-blood Taoist was his subordinate. If he was killed, he would lose face. Moreover, these 3 fellows who blocked the iron-blood Taoist didn't seem to be good people. "Who are you? Could it be that you are?" The 2 experts from the South Pole Immortal Manor were shocked when they saw Gu Fei's gaze sweeping over them. This guy was definitely a ruthless character. One of the 2 experts from the South Pole Immortal Manor seemed to have thought of something. His expression immediately turned ugly. "Boss!" The iron-blood Taoist hurried over. If it weren't for Gu Fei, he would have executed a secret technique and perished together with the 3 chaos beasts. Unless it was absolutely necessary, no one would want to take this step. The iron-blood Taoist did not want to die in this desolate little world just like that. Although this was only a competition, many cultivators had died in this desolate little world. There had always been casualties in the past competitions. Roar! At this moment, an angry roar was heard. The mad wolf who had been sent flying by Gu Fei charged over again. His murderous intent soared to the sky and his eyes were bloodshot as if they were about to spit fire. "If you want to die, I can grant your wish." Gu Fei looked indifferently at the ferocious man who was charging over. His face didn't reveal any expression. No one could see anything from his face. Boasting shamelessly. "Die for this, daddy." The mad wolf seemed to have really gone mad. His aura was incomparably powerful. Terrifying energy erupted from his body. Ancient Tao runes appeared on the mace in his hand. These were the Tao runes of the barbarian race. This mace was a treasure of the barbarian race. After being refined by generations of barbarian experts, it had already become an item comparable to a saint tool. The mad wolf's crazed nature erupted. He directly swung the mace in his hand and smashed it down towards Gu Fei's head. This strike directly shattered the space below the mace, forming a destructive force that gushed towards Gu Fei. Bang! Gu Fei punched out again. Chaotic chi revolved around his fist. Boom! His fist directly broke through the mighty destructive power, and then smashed into the mace that was smashing down. The mad wolf only felt a surge of energy rushing towards him. He discovered that his entire body was sent flying and the mace in his hand finally flew out of his hand. Pff! Gu Fei punched out again. The powerful fist force caused the flying mad wolf to explode, turning his body into a mist of blood. A genius of the barbarian race was killed by a single punch from Gu Fei just like that. His body and soul were destroyed. This was the most thorough way to die. Even at the moment of his death, the mad wolf didn't know why he lost so thoroughly. He didn't even have the strength to retaliate against his opponent's fist, killing the mad wolf of the barbarian race with 2 punches. Everyone who saw this scene was stunned. Mad wolf died just like that. The voices of the 2 experts from the South Pole Immortal Manor were trembling. This man in black was too strong. He was so strong that he could easily kill a great perfection quasi-sage. At this moment, Gu Fei extended his right hand and made a grabbing motion in the air. A jade tablet flew out from the bloody mist that had yet to completely dissipate and landed in Gu Fei's hand. Gu Fei didn't let go of the mace either. He kept it. Everything on the mad wolf's body was destroyed by Gu Fei's punch. The only thing on the mad wolf's body that could catch Gu Fei's eye was the mace. He planned to give this weapon to Gu Zhong. Hand over the jade token and scram. Gu Fei didn't have time to talk nonsense with these 2 cultivators. If they didn't know what was good for them, he would have to kill them as well. The 2 experts from the South Pole Immortal Manor exchanged glances. Then, they took out their jade tokens and threw them to Gu Fei before turning to leave. After handing over their jade tokens, they would lose the right to enter the human race's ancient path. However, the two experts from the South Pole Immortal Manor didn't have much time to think. They could clearly sense the murderous intent on Gu Fei's body. If they said no, Emma Wuji would immediately attack them. Losing the right to enter the human race's ancient path wasn't a big deal. However, it wouldn't be worth it if they lost their lives because of this. One must know that only the living would have a future. Just like that, the jade tokens of the two experts from the South Pole Immortal Manor landed in Gu Fei's hands. As long as he collected 2 more jade tokens, he would be able to complete his mission. "Boss, let me follow by your side," the Iron Blood Taoist said. In this desolate little world, danger lurked everywhere. Even a great perfection quasi-sage would be in danger. If he followed by Gu Fei's side, he would definitely be in less danger. "Whatever," Gu Fei said. After that, he left the valley and headed towards the depths of this desolate little world. He could sense that there might be some unknown secrets hidden in the depths of this desolate little world. The Iron Blood Taoist followed Gu Fei. Along the way, they encountered quite a number of wild beasts, but they didn't see a single person. Although this desolate little world was called a little world, it was actually a vast desolate little world. 500 experts entering this place were like 500 drops of water falling into the ocean. They simply couldn't cause any waves. Experts that were scattered all over the place really needed some luck to meet each other. On the 3rd day after entering the desolate little world, Gu Fei and the Iron Blood Taoist were already nearing the center of this little world. The spiritual energy here was much denser than other places. "Boss, why did we come here instead of searching for those people?" Ever since the Iron Blood Taoist saw Gu Fei kill the Mad Wolf with just 2 moves, he became extremely respectful toward Gu Fei. He didn't dare to be careless in the slightest. "Those people will definitely come here," Gu Fei said. He did not venture any deeper and instead found a peak in the nearby mountain range. Then, he sat down cross-legged on the peak and waited quietly. According to his estimations, the victors would definitely be filled with curiosity about the wildlands. These people would probably explore the depths of the wildlands. Even Gu Fei himself was very curious about this desolate little world. The Iron Blood Taoist also sat down cross-legged under an old pine tree on the peak. Sure enough, after just over 40 hours, Gu Fei sensed the aura of a cultivator passing by. He naturally wouldn't let go of such a good opportunity to obtain a jade token. It was a white-robed young man. He looked very young, but who knew how long he had cultivated for? A cultivator's appearance didn't mean anything. The white-robed young man was shocked to see Gu Fei suddenly appear. "Hand over the jade token and scram." Gu Fei's words were very direct. He didn't want to waste time. "You..." Chapter 2007. Currently, Gu Fei had already collected 3 jade tokens. As long as he obtained 2 more, he would be able to leave this desolate little world. He knew that some truly powerful people would not be able to leave this desolate little world so easily even if they had collected all the jade badges. One should know that this place was formed from a small fragment of the primordial chaotic world. Spiritual herbs that grew in the mountains were rare in the outside world. Moreover, there were other secrets in this desolate little world. For example, this kind of small fragment formed after the primordial chaos was shattered was not something that an ordinary person could refine into a little world. Everyone had their own curiosity. Immortals and gods were cultivated by humans. In essence, even the extreme supremes of the primordial era were humans. As expected, Gu Fei's guess was right. Soon enough, he intercepted a white-robed young man who was heading deeper into the little world. An unavoidable battle broke out because Gu Fei's words had completely enraged the white-robed young man. Any expert that could enter this little world was not simple. This white-robed young man was obviously from a superpower on the ancestral Bujo star. His powerful battle prowess was earth-shattering as he battled against Gu Fei. "Just who are you?" The white-robed young man became more shocked as the battle went on. This person that dared to stop him was truly powerful. How could such a person not have collected all 5 jade badges? "Fellow Taoist, I think you should hand over your jade badges." At this moment, the iron-blood Taoist arrived nearby and spoke to the white-robed young man. In his opinion, killing this young cultivator would be as easy as flipping his hand, since he had killed the barbarian tribe's big boss with 2 punches. The reason why the big boss had yet to defeat this young man was most likely because he wanted to see what this young man was capable of. Preposterous! The young man was filled with anger. The iron-blood Taoist's words were a disgrace to him. The iron-blood Taoist actually told him to admit defeat and hand over the jade badges. If he were to do so, it would leave a shadow in his heart. He would not be able to maintain his pure Tao heart, and his cultivation would stagnate. If you want my jade badges, you'll have to defeat me first, the white-robed young man roared. Today was truly an unlucky day. He never expected someone to rob him in this place. Very good, Gu Fei said in an incomparably calm tone. Bang! The powerful fist force directly broke through the great technique that the white-robed young man had unleashed. After that, it smashed towards the white-robed young man's chest, causing the space around the fist to distort. What? The white-clothed youth was shocked. Ever since he started cultivating, he had experienced countless battles, but he had never met anyone who could break his immortal Tao divine technique with their fists. 9 dragons haze heaven! The white-robed young man roared, and an extremely powerful wave of dragon chi erupted from his body. 9 dragon shadows rushed out from his body to meet Gu Fei's fist. At the same time, he quickly retreated. Boom! Gu Fei's fist fiercely smashed into the 9 dragon shadows that were rushing towards him, causing the 9 dragon shadows to collapse with a single punch. Although he had dispersed the 9 dragon shadows with a single punch, the power that erupted from the 9 dragon shadows had also successfully blocked his attack. Dragon Chi. Gu Fei was very surprised that the white-robed young man only revealed his true strength at this moment. It seemed that there were quite a number of truly capable people in Buzhou Ancestral Star. As a human, you actually possess the strength of a true dragon. Could it be that you have the bloodline of the dragon race? Gu Fei couldn't help but be surprised. It wasn't that the human race and the dragon race couldn't give birth to descendants, but it wasn't that easy for the descendants of the 2 races to awaken the dragon race's bloodline. Clearly, this white-robed young man's background wasn't simple, because the dragon race's bloodline in his body had definitely awakened. Otherwise, there wouldn't be dragon chi appearing on his body. Only by cultivating the strength of a true dragon would this white-robed young man have dragon chi lingering around his body. Humph, what does this have to do with you? The white-robed young man looked at Gu Fei and said coldly. On his body, there was a faint shadow of a huge dragon, emitting a domineering dragon aura. I have some friendship with the dragon clan. You can leave. Gu Fei glanced at the white-robed young man and waved his hand. He then turned around and walked towards the iron-blood Taoist, no longer attacking the white-robed young man. He and the old tortoise had a life-and-death friendship. Since this young man had dragon chi, he must be a descendant of the old tortoise's race. He was too embarrassed to attack this young man. Humph, at this point, it's not like you can stop fighting just because you say so. The white-robed young man seemed to be angered. He didn't care what kind of relationship Gu Fei had with the dragon race. It would be difficult for him to stop. He had never been ignored like this ever since he started his cultivation. My boss told you to leave. You've already gotten lucky. Why aren't you leaving? Are you tired of living? Iron-blood Taoist said. From his point of view, the fact that Gu Fei would let this young cultivator off was already a blessing in disguise. Yet he still dared to squabble. And who are you? What rights do you have to speak? I can defeat someone like you with one hand. The young man glanced at the iron-blood Taoist. His tone was as cold as ever, without a single trace of emotion. In his eyes, the iron-blood Taoist could not even withstand a single blow. You! This time around, the iron-blood Taoist was a little angry. He reminded this white-robed young man out of goodwill, but he didn't expect the young man to say something like this. Seems like you won't admit defeat until you learn a lesson. Gu Fei stopped and turned around. He said to the white-robed young man. Even though this young man was strong, Gu Fei didn't think that he would be able to take 10 moves from him. Although they were both at the peak of the quasi-sage stage, Gu Fei was much stronger than this white-robed young man. However, this white-robed young man was much stronger than the iron-blood Taoist. If you've got what it takes, bring it on. The white-robed young man could sense an immense pressure from Gu Fei. This was because he was way too calm. The calmer he was, the more confident he was. To him, this was definitely not a good thing. As you wish. Gu Fei smiled. Suddenly, his figure turned blurry. At this moment, the white-robed young man's heart skipped a beat. All the pores on his body shrunk as his hair stood on end. This was the most direct reaction of a human when they felt extreme danger. It was like a cat that was startled. *T. Chapter 2008. Gu Fei's speed was simply too fast. He left behind an afterimage on the spot, and his real body had already arrived above the white-robed youth. He then stomped down on the youth's head. What? By the time the white-robed youth noticed Gu Fei's attack, Gu Fei's right foot was already about to land on his head. This caused the white-robed youth to panic. Swish. Without thinking, the white-robed youth's body fell straight down. Then, 2 golden rays of light rushed out from his hands, turning into 2 golden dragon claws that blocked upwards. Peng! Gu Fei's right foot stepped on the 2 golden dragon claws. The dragon claws formed from the power of the golden dragon immediately shattered, turning into spots of golden light that dissipated into the void. The power of his right foot did not decrease at all as it stepped on the white-robed youth's hands. Kacha! The sound of bones breaking could be heard. The white-robed youth screamed in pain as he was stomped down from the sky by Gu Fei. Peng! He crashed onto the ground. Everything happened too quickly. Even the iron-blood Taoist was shocked. He did not expect Gu Fei to stomp this white-robed youth down from the sky with a thunderous move. Boss's strength! The iron-blood Taoist was shocked. The strength displayed by Gu Fei was too shocking. A great completion quasi-sage that could dominate the world couldn't even withstand a single blow from him. Roar! The white-robed youth roared as he charged up from the ground. He was stomped down from the sky by Gu Fei just now. The bones in both of his arms were broken. The recovery rate of a great completion quasi-sage was still very abnormal. The bones in the white-robed youth's arms had already recovered in an instant. It was as though he had never been injured. At this moment, the white-robed youth's face alternated between red and white. He stared at Gu Fei, wanting to attack Gu Fei. However, he hesitated at the thought of Gu Fei's strength. Just now, the other party had shown mercy. If the other party had wanted to take his life, he would have broken more than just his 2 forearms. The white-clothed youth knew very well that the power of Gu Fei's kick was very terrifying. However, the power of his opponent's kick was not fully displayed. There was nothing more to say. Since he was no match for the other party, he could only hand over the jade tokens. Wasn't the other party intercepting him for the jade tokens? Although the other party had already told him to leave, it was only now that he was truly defeated by the other party that he realized how powerful and terrifying this person was. This is the jade token you wanted. The white-robed young man was very straightforward. He took out the jade token and threw it to Gu Fei along with his own jade token. Then, he turned around and left. There was such a person on the ancient path of the human race. He had no chance of becoming a sage. He might as well give up on this chance, and save himself the trouble of dying on the ancient path. The white-robed young man left. Gu Fei and the others didn't even know his name. However, there were so many cultivators in the world that it wasn't necessary to know every single one of them. This is... Gu Fei took the jade tokens and realized that the white-robed young man had collected a total of 12 jade tokens. This fella is way too ruthless. The iron-blood Taoist was shocked when he saw the jade tokens in Gu Fei's hand. This white-robed young man had defeated at least 11 opponents to obtain a jade token. It's time to leave. Gu Fei was about to leave this desolate little world after obtaining what he wanted. However, just as he and the iron-blood Taoist were about to crush the jade token, A strange ripple emerged from the depths of this world. This is. Gu Fei's eyes lit up when he sensed the ripple. He quickly stopped and turned around to look at the depths of this world. Boss, what's wrong? Although the iron-blood Taoist also sensed the ripple, he didn't know what was going on. When he saw the expression on Gu Fei's face, he knew that Gu Fei must know what was going on. Why would there be something like that here? Gu Fei ignored the iron-blood Taoist and fell into deep thought. Was the desolate little world not under the control of the middle continent Immortal Mansion? If the savage small world was under the complete control of the central province Immortal Manor, how could that thing not have been taken away? This didn't make sense, because no one could resist the attraction of that thing. Meanwhile, the old abode master was extremely excited in the pavilion of the middle continent Immortal Mansion. The fruit of the immortal herb has ripened. Why does it have to be at this time? The middle continent Immortal Mansion had set up glowing stones in various places in the desolate little world. The glowing stones were a supplementary material for the mystic light technique. The old abode master could see the scenery in the desolate little world from the pavilion, and he could also sense the various auras of the place. This was one of the magical abilities of the mystic light stones. Not only could they display a person's voice and silhouette on the glowing mirror, but they could also transmit their auras, making it feel like they were there. This was also one of the methods the middle continent Immortal Mansion used to monitor the desolate little world. The old abode master had also seen the battle between Gu Fei and the white-robed youth. However, the depths of the desolate little world was also a forbidden area for the middle continent Immortal Mansion. It was filled with great danger, so the people of the middle continent Immortal Mansion wouldn't go near it. No one knew what was in the depths of the desolate little world. The middle continent Immortal Mansion had once suffered a great lesson. The people of the middle continent Immortal Mansion had once attacked the depths of the desolate little world in an attempt to gain complete control over it. However, the middle continent Immortal Mansion had suffered great losses in that battle. The people of the middle continent Immortal Mansion had once attacked the depths of the desolate little world in an attempt to gain complete control over it. However, the middle continent Immortal Mansion had suffered great losses in that battle. The middle continent Immortal Mansion had to recuperate for thousands of years before they could recover. And the reason why the Central Prefecture Immortal Manor spared no expense to attack the depths of the Wildlands Minor World was because of an immortal divine herb. For that immortal divine herb, the Central Prefecture Immortal Manor suffered heavy losses. The reason the middle continent Immortal Mansion had spared no effort to attack the depths of the desolate little world was because of the undying divine herb. The middle continent Immortal Mansion had suffered great losses for the undying divine herb. No one knew, because the undying divine herb had existed for too long. It was a lost period of time. I'll have to go and see for myself. The old abode master left the pavilion after saying that. Even he couldn't sit still when the undying divine herb's fruit had ripened. After all, that was the fruit of the undying divine herb. Chapter 2009. The immortal herb of immortality's fruit had ripened, and it just had to happen at this time, which made the Central Prefecture Immortal Manor feel helpless. One must know that there were hundreds of the most powerful cultivators in the entire Buzhou ancestral planet in that little wildland. Although the Central Plains Immortal Mansion was a superpower, it was impossible for them to have hundreds of great perfection quasi-sages. These hundreds of great perfection quasi-sages were a huge variable. The desolate pocket world wasn't completely under the Central Plains Immortal Mansion's control. The central region of the desolate pocket world was an absolute forbidden zone. Even a self-sealed sage wouldn't be able to do anything about it. The immortal herb of immortality that the Central Plains Immortal Mansion had discovered was rooted in the central region of the desolate pocket world. It had never left that place. Although the immortal herb of immortality couldn't cultivate, it was still a spiritual object that could sense the dangers of the outside world. The Central Plains Immortal Mansion had been eyeing the immortal herb of immortality for thousands of years, but they had never seen any traces of it outside the central region of the desolate pocket world. The importance of the immortal herb of immortality was undeniable. This time, the old mansion master of the Central Plains Immortal Mansion personally led 18 of the strongest people in the mansion into the desolate pocket world. Among these 18 people, one of them was Wu Daoyi, who had been defeated by Gu Fei. The other 17 were peerless figures from the previous generation of the Central Plains Immortal Mansion. Although the 10 heroes of Central Plains were famous, only the 3 sons of Central Plains were qualified to enter the top 20 of the Central Plains Immortal Mansion. Apart from Wu Daoyi, the other 2 had already entered the desolate pocket world with the hundreds of great perfection quasi-sages to fight for the spot to enter the ancient path of the human race. Although the ancient path of the human race was important, the immortal herb of immortality was even more important to the Central Plains Immortal Mansion. Having the immortal herb of immortality was equivalent to having an extra life. This was especially so for a sage who had sealed himself like the old mansion master of Central Plains. After all, ordinary herbs had no effect on someone as powerful as a sage. Only the immortal herb of immortality could save a sage. At this moment, the air in the center of the entire wild small world was filled with traces of medicinal fragrance. It was a faint fragrance, but it had a magical effect that made people feel relaxed and happy. It really is an immortal godly herb. On top of a mountain peak, the black-robed Gu Fei sat cross-legged on a large boulder. Smelling the fragrance in the air, his heart couldn't help but tremble. The wisp of fragrance in the void actually gave him a feeling of emptiness. This was a phenomenon that would only occur when one was cultivating and comprehending something. Just a whiff of the aroma could cause one to enter a state of enlightenment. If one were to consume the immortal spirit fruit produced by this immortal spirit herb, wouldn't they be able to directly become a saint? Gu Fei couldn't help but be overwhelmed with shock. This kind of immortal divine medicine was really too heaven-defying. Under the boulder stood the iron-blood Taoist. At this moment, he was willing to be ordered around by Gu Fei, because Gu Fei had the right to submit to him. This boss of his was really unfathomable. He actually knew that the immortal spirit fruit had ripened and was waiting here. It was very difficult for the undying spiritual fruit to bear spirit fruits. Legend had it that in the ancient times, there was a female paragon who possessed an undying immortality peach tree. That undying immortality peach tree took 3,000 years to bloom, another 3,000 years to bear fruit, and another 3,000 years to mature. The immortal godly herb in the forbidden area ahead shouldn't be the immortal peach tree, because the immortal peaches produced by the immortal peach tree could only grant immortality. The immortal peaches of immortality would not allow one to enter a rare state of cultivation. Could it be the legendary Tao integration divine tree that could allow one to progress to the Tao integration stage? There were only a few stalks of immortal godly herbs in the world. They could grant immortality, but they couldn't cultivate. The immortal Tao integration divine tree could bear a Tao integration fruit. Although this Tao fusion fruit couldn't really allow one to become a sage after eating it, anyone who ate it was destined to become a sage. This was just a matter of time. The Tao integration fruit could allow one's body to become one with the Tao during cultivation. This was something that even a connate Tao embryo couldn't achieve. Merging with the Tao would allow one to comprehend the Tao. Once one comprehended their own Tao, they would be able to form 9 Tao patterns and pass the heavenly tribulation to become a supreme sage. If the Tao integration fruit produced by the immortal Tao integration divine tree was really ripe, Gu Fei would definitely fight for it. If he could get his hands on a Tao integration fruit, becoming a sage wouldn't be a problem anymore. Rumble! At this moment, 1,000 miles away from the mountain peak that Gu Fei was at, a series of tremors came from the sky. Then, the void collapsed, and a pitch-black hole appeared in the sky. Then, an overwhelming aura gushed out from the hole. A series of ancient chariots passed through the hole and entered this world. The Middle Continent Immortal Mansion really has other ways to enter this desolate little world. Gu Fei stood up from the boulder. With such a huge commotion, it was impossible for him not to notice it. A powerful force from the Middle Continent Immortal Mansion had entered the desolate little world. What are they? The iron-blood Taoist was shocked. He could feel the power of that force. Everything in the world was trembling. 19 powerful auras filled every inch of the void between the heaven and earth. These people must be here for the immortal medicine, Gu Fei said. The strength of the Middle Continent Immortal Mansion was truly strong. He could sense Wu Daoyi's aura among the 19 powerful auras. However, Wu Daoyi's aura was the weakest among the 19 auras. Wu Daoyi, one of the 3 sons of the Middle Continent, was actually the weakest among them. This caused Gu Fei to be shocked. Especially the aura of the person leading the group. It was the true sage aura that only a sage possessed. It was not the sage aura of a quasi-sage or a half-sage. Quasi-sages and half-sages only possess some of the characteristics of a sage. Their auras were fundamentally different from the aura of a real sage. Even a sage who sealed himself is here. Gu Fei knew that the Middle Continent Immortal Mansion was determined to get their hands on the immortal medicine in the forbidden area. Moreover, this desolate little world was formed from a fragment of the ancient desolate world. He thought of a serious problem. Gu Fei did not move forward. He even brought the Iron Blood Taoist and retreated far away. He wanted to observe the situation first. One should know that the forbidden area ahead was not a friendly place. The terrain of the central area of the desolate little world was very strange. In Gu Fei's opinion, such a terrain was definitely a place of great danger. There were probably terrifying existences residing there. Chapter 2010. It's that kid? The old master of the Central Plains Immortal Manor also noticed Gu Fei's group. After all, the old master was a saint who'd sealed his own sage cultivation. A self-sealed saint like him was still terrifyingly powerful despite his cultivation being sealed. Even a grand completion quasi-saint would be mercilessly slaughtered by such an existence. One must know that the old master's sage Dao cultivation had been sealed, but he still possessed the physical body of a sage. Even with the strength of a sage's physical body, a great accomplishment quasi-sage was no longer a match for him. The old master ignored Gu Fei and the Iron Blood Taoist. After all, they'd risked their lives to enter the wildlands for the legendary fruit of convergence of the path's grand sovereigns. On top of the 18 ancient chariots, there were 18 figures that emitted powerful auras like mountains. Each figure was like a god of war that came from ancient times. Only Wu Daoyi, the weakest of them all, stood there without a chariot. The ancient chariots had survived the Dark Ages and were covered in scars left behind by swords, spears, swords, and halberds. Those qualified to stand atop the chariots were war gods who lived for countless years. They'd once followed the old master to conquer the world. If it wasn't for the fact that this matter was too important to the Central Plains Immortal Manor, the old master wouldn't have mobilized his forces. After all, there weren't many old men left who'd followed him to conquer the world. Some had died in battle, while others were crippled. It was rare for them to survive until now. Has the fruit of convergence of the paths really ripened? An aged voice asked in disbelief. It was an old war god with white hair and beard, clad in bronze armor. The fruit of convergence of the paths was a legendary item. The fragrance in the air. Someone sighed. The fragrance lingering in the air was so soothing that all the pores on one's body opened up, and the immortal Tao divine power within one's body circulated at a faster rate. It feels like ascending to heaven and attaining enlightenment, Wu Daoyi said. Did the legendary fruit of convergence of the paths really have the miraculous effect of allowing one to fuse the Tao and become a saint? This shocked Wu Daoyi to no end. Master, what should we do next? The 18 war gods followed the old prefecture lord's lead. They were the divine weapons of the old prefecture lord. Wherever the old prefecture lord pointed, they would attack without any hesitation. Wait! The old mansion master, who was also clad in armor, pondered for a moment before speaking. Following that, chariots descended from the sky and landed in a nearby valley. The Central Province Old Mansion Master and the others set up camp on the spot, then sent out people to investigate the situation in the surrounding area. Only by knowing yourself and your enemy can you win 100 battles. The Old Manor Master and the others were very careful because they had fought against the terrifying existences in that forbidden area and suffered great losses. As time passed, the figures of other experts began to appear in the vicinity of the forbidden area. The fragrance of the matured immortal herbs could be smelled even from 10,000 miles away. After all, 500 of Bujo's ancestral star's strongest experts had come to the wildland's small world. Among them, there were many heaven-defying existences, and there were even descendants of supremes. Great ruler, the atmosphere in the vicinity of the forbidden area gradually became tense. The Middle Prefecture Immortal Mansion was the master of the wildland's small world. They knew very well that the news of the maturing immortal herbs could not be concealed. It should be noted that among the 500 experts, there were descendants of supremes. They definitely knew about the existence of the Daomerge fruit. The Daomerge fruit could help one comprehend the Tao. Anyone who had the ambition to become a saint would be envious of it. Soon, the news of the maturing Daomerge fruit spread throughout the wildland's small world. Everyone was excited as if they had been injected with stimulants. Is the legendary Daomerge fruit really in this small world? Some people doubted the authenticity of the news, but the refreshing fragrance lingering in the air could not be faked. The Daomerge fruit! As long as I can obtain it, there's hope for me to achieve the Tao. On a mountain peak outside the center of the wildland's small world stood a woman wearing a golden mask. Behind her stood a middle-aged man. I'll definitely snatch the Daomerge fruit for young lady, the middle-aged man said. Caution is the parent of safety. Let's wait and see, the woman said. She was the golden goddess of the gold family, and the middle-aged man was the golden goddess servant. Although this middle-aged man was just an unprepossessing servant, his cultivation base was extremely powerful. He was actually at the great accomplishment quasi-sage realm. In this Central Plains competition, a supreme lineage like the Gold family definitely wouldn't just send one or two people to participate. This time, there were quite a few people from the Gold family who came to participate as well. However, the competition this time was unprecedentedly intense. Even the Gold family had only sent 3 people to the wildland's small world. One of them was the cousin of the golden goddess. The mantis stalks the cicada, unaware of the Oreo behind. Young lady is indeed smart, the middle-aged man said. At this moment, 2 people stood on a different mountain peak in another direction. It was a man and a woman. The man was extraordinarily handsome, while the woman was cute. These 2 people were Ziyun Xiao and Ziyun of the Ziyun family. I didn't expect an immortal divine herb like the Daomerge divine tree to exist in this wildland's small world. Ziyun Xiao came from the Ziyun family, so he naturally knew many secrets of the world. It should be known that the Ziyun supremacy had once obtained an immortal divine herb. Of course, the immortal divine herb that the Ziyun supremacy had obtained wasn't the Daomerge divine tree. Haha, as long as we obtain the Daomerge fruit, we will be able to become saints, Ziyun said with a smile. They didn't care about the ancient path of the human race or whatever, because their goal in taking the ancient path of the human race was to become saints. Since the Daomerge fruit could help people comprehend the Tao and become saints, why would they still need to take the extremely dangerous ancient path of the human race? That's right, we will definitely obtain the Daomerge fruit, Ziyun Xiao said in a deep voice. Ziyun Xiao said in a deep voice. 2 extremely sharp beams of light shot out of his eyes. The fusion path fruit was too important to them. Becoming a sage was their ultimate goal. At this time, there were also people from other forces in the vicinity, and even Buddhist experts appeared. On the ancestral star of Bujo, there was also an orthodoxy passed down by the ancient Buddhist lord, the Eastern Holy Realm. It was the number 1 force in the eastern region of the ancestral star of Bujo. Some people said that the Eastern Holy Buddha of the Eastern Holy Realm was also a saint who had sealed his saint cultivation. In the Buddhist sects, a Buddhist monk with such a cultivation was called a Holy Buddha. For several days in a row, there was a dark storm outside the central region of the wildland's small world. Some people began to form alliances, some tried to persuade the various forces, and some even came to persuade Gu Fei to join their camp. A storm was brewing, and everyone felt extremely oppressed. Chapter 2011. The atmosphere in the desolate minor world was very stifling, as though a storm was brewing. Gu Fei knew that the calm on the surface would soon be broken. There was a limit to how long the undying divine medicine could take to ripen. After several days, the fragrance from the forbidden area grew stronger and stronger. Everyone was pleasantly surprised. The stronger the fragrance, the more beneficial it was for cultivation. Many people seemed to feel that their cultivation had improved a little in the past few days. The miraculous effects of the immortal godly medicine could indeed make people go crazy. After a few more days, a strange fluctuation spread out from the forbidden area. The ruler of the forbidden area could no longer sit still. He seemed to be making a move. Are they finally going to make a move? In a valley only a few hundred li away from the forbidden area, inside a large tent, an old man clad in battle armor stood up. His eyes gleamed with sharpness like the edge of a blade. It was early in the morning. There was no sun or constellation in the desolate minor world, but day and night alternated. This part of the world began to light up. After that, 19 war chariots rushed out from the valley, emitting a heart-palpitating killing intent. The 19 war chariots gathered together, forming a heaven-shaking killing intent. This killing intent was so strong that it caused this part of the world to lose its color, and all living things in the world trembled. This heaven-shaking killing intent alarmed everyone. Those who could enter this part of the world were all incomparably astute. No one wanted to be the first to make a move. Many people were watching, and many people could already tell that the place where the undying divine medicine was located was a forbidden area. Even the old man or lord of the central province was watching. From this, one could tell that there was definitely a great danger in the forbidden area. Rumble! The 19 ancient war chariots were like 18 primordial divine mountains, crushing down from the sky, causing the void to tremble and shaking all directions. That powerful pressure almost suffocated everyone. When the auras of these 19 war gods fused together, it was truly too powerful. Perhaps even a saint who had sealed himself wouldn't be able to surpass them. Behind the 19 war chariots, there were more than 10 white-robed cultivators. The 3 sons of the central province are over there. Someone recognized the 3 supreme experts from the central prefecture Immortal Manor. The 3 sons of the central prefecture were all rising stars of the younger generation, but each of them were already so powerful that they could contend against those famous characters of the older generation. Among the 10 great heroes of the central state, only the 3 sons of the central state were worthy of the title of Peerless Master. It wasn't that the other 7 heroes weren't strong, but compared to the 3 sons of the central prefecture, they were far inferior. Their cultivation and battle strength couldn't be compared to the 3 sons of the central prefecture. Is this the strength of the middle province Immortal Mansion? Someone exclaimed in surprise. The foundation of the central prefecture Immortal Abode was truly powerful. Although there had long been rumors that there was a self-sealed saint in the central prefecture Immortal Abode. However, when he actually saw the saint of the middle state Immortal Mansion who had sealed himself, it was completely different from what he had heard. It's starting! On a mountain peak thousands of miles away from the Forbidden Zone, Gu Fei, who was sitting cross-legged on a boulder, opened his eyes. At the same time, Iron Blood Taoist, who was sitting beside the boulder, also stood up. Roar! Just as the old sect master of the central prefecture Immortal Mansion led a group of experts in a war chariot and charged into the Forbidden Zone ahead, an earth-shattering roar rang out from the depths of the Forbidden Zone. Humans, you've gone too far! A powerful divine sense rippled out from the depths of the Forbidden Zone. Then, the people outside the Forbidden Zone could faintly see a huge silhouette looming in the depths of the Forbidden Zone. Hand over the divine medicine of immortality, and we will naturally retreat. An ancient voice rang out. The old sect master of the central prefecture was extremely domineering. Even when facing the lord of the Forbidden Zone, he still pressed forward. Everyone outside the Forbidden Zone was shaken. As expected, there was a great ferocious beast in the Forbidden Zone. This ferocious beast didn't seem to fear the self-sealed saint at all. It's you again! Was the lesson last time not deep enough? The divine sense of the Lord of the Forbidden Zone swept out in all directions, enveloping a radius of 10,000 miles. The voice of the Lord of the Forbidden Zone rang out in everyone's hearts. Humph, new grudges and old grudges. Let us settle them today. Rays of divine light began to shine from the central province old prefecture lord's body. Mysterious and unfathomable Tao patterns rushed out from his body before dissipating into the void. The true power of the divine path began to awaken on the body of the old sect master. The might of the saint shook the heavens, causing countless living beings to tremble. This was a fear that originated from the depths of their souls. You actually dared to lift the seal? The Lord of the Forbidden Zone was clearly shocked. One should know that even in this wild little world, no one would take such a huge risk. One should know that once the seal was lifted, it would mean death. Humph, you think too highly of yourself. I only need to lift a few seals and recover 30 or 40% of my cultivation. That should be enough to destroy you. The old sect master stood on the chariot. His white hair fluttered despite the absence of wind. As the divine Tao patterns rushed out from his body, they dissipated into the void. The true power of the divine path rapidly recovered on his body. At this time, the people behind the old sect master quickly retreated. The 18 old gods of war dispersed on their chariots. Ancient Tao patterns appeared on every chariot. Those Tao patterns rushed out from the chariots and interweaved into a formation diagram in the air. The ancient formation diagram gave off a terrifying ripple. In an instant, this formation diagram connected the power of the 18 old gods of war together. This was not as simple as 1 plus 1. The ancient formation diagram had increased the power of the 18 old gods of war to a level that even great completion quasi-sages would have to look up to. When the 18 powers fused together, even a self-sealed sage would be moved. Is this the immortal venerate battle formation of the middle ground immortal manor? On a mountain outside the Forbidden Zone, Zi Yunxiao and his sister observed. The battle formation displayed by the 18 old gods of war of the middle ground immortal manor was truly extraordinary. This kind of ancient battle formation should be the legendary immortal venerate battle formation. The middle ground immortal manor had once produced an immortal venerate. Of course, this was in ancient times. In the current era, not to mention an immortal venerate, even sages were extinct. In those ancient times, the ancestral star of Buzhou was constantly at war. The immortal venerate of the middle ground immortal manor had created a formation diagram. This formation diagram could only be operated by 18 powerful cultivators. The immortal venerate battle formation was extremely powerful. Although the 18 old gods of war were not sages, the power gathered by the formation diagram was comparable to that of a sage. All the cultivators outside the Forbidden Zone were incomparably shocked. Apart from some powerhouses that came from ancient forces, not many people knew the origin of this battle formation diagram. Humph, looks like the old guys from the middle ground immortal manor are going all out. Chapter 2012. The immortal venerable formation diagram gathered spirit chi from all directions. The 18 ancient chariots turned into the 18 formation cores of the formation diagram. Murderous intent filled the air from the 18 formation cores. An illusory figure stood up from the formation diagram. It was the body of the immortal venerable formation diagram. When the immortal venerable formation diagram was activated, it could form a body of the immortal venerable formation diagram. This was the true terror of the immortal venerable formation diagram. Are they going to fight? Outside the Forbidden Zone, all the cultivators were watching the scene inside the Forbidden Zone nervously. The strength displayed by the middle ground immortal manor was too strong. A force like this was enough to sweep through the entire world. Roar! The old master roared into the sky. His aged body was undergoing a shocking change. He's going to recover to his peak state. How terrifying! The cultivators outside the Forbidden Zone were extremely shocked. They could only see the old master's snow-white hair rapidly turning black. The old master's wrinkled face was changing as well. The wrinkles were quickly dissolving. His muscles glowed with radiance once again. His aged appearance was changing. The old master's aura grew stronger and stronger. Divine runes of the great Tao rushed out from his body one after another before dispersing into the surrounding void. He was unsealing. His sealed cultivation and power were returning. Soon, the aged patriarch had transformed into a tall, burly middle-aged man with a pair of blazing eyes and a tall, sturdy figure. His black hair fluttered in the wind. "Aren't you afraid of dying?" The voice of the Lord of the Forbidden Zone came from the Forbidden Zone. In the current world, there was not a single saint left in the human world who dared to completely unseal themselves. The human world had become different. Although the power of the great Tao could not harm saints, the power that surpassed the great Tao could still kill saints. Humph! The old master did not say anything else. He drove the chariot and rushed into the depths of the Forbidden Zone. The battle had erupted. The old master had already unsealed a few of his seals. He had already recovered 30 to 40% of his cultivation. The power of the great Tao was extremely powerful. Rumble! The entire Forbidden Zone was shaking. A terrifying destructive storm swept out from the Forbidden Zone. Mountains were devoured by the storm. It was a terrifying scene. Pitch-black spatial cracks, like pitch-black bolts of lightning, instantly spread out from the depths of the Forbidden Zone. This was the void being torn apart. The ruler of the Forbidden Region was also incomparably powerful, and he was locked in a fierce battle with the Old Manor Lord. Outside the Forbidden Area, everyone was watching nervously. No one dared to enter because the 18 old war gods were still guarding it. The immortal Venerable battle formation was still in operation. A gigantic illusory figure stood between heaven and earth. The phantom condensed from the immortal Venerate battle formation gave off a great oppressive feeling, as though there was a real sage standing there. The 18 old war gods didn't make a move. Behind them were 13 white-robed disciples. These 13 young experts didn't show any signs of making a move either. Terrifying energy gushed out. The immortal Venerable battle diagram froze the space in front of them, protecting the 18 old war gods, as well as the 13 experts from the Central Province Immortal Manor. A battle between sages. Gu Fei didn't make a move either. People who couldn't control themselves would often put themselves in danger. Now wasn't the time to make a move. Gu Fei wasn't the only one who had such thoughts. Most of the people were thinking the same. However, there were some people who couldn't resist the allure of the undying god medicine. They wanted to take advantage of the battle between the Old Manor Lord and the Lord of the Forbidden Zone to fish in troubled waters. Arg! A tragic cry rang out. One of the unlucky cultivators was ripped apart by the spatial cracks that came from the depths of the Forbidden Zone. He was then devoured by the spatial cracks. Even someone as strong as a great perfection quasi-sage couldn't defend against the destructive power of the spatial cracks. That cultivator's body and soul were destroyed instantly. He couldn't be any more dead. Looking at this scene, all the cultivators who had entered the Forbidden Zone were shocked. This place was way too dangerous. Even a great perfection quasi-sage could fall if they were to encounter any danger here. Roar! A furious roar came from the depths of the Forbidden Zone. That was the voice of the Lord of the Forbidden Zone. This roar shook the heavens and the earth, causing a few great perfection quasi-sages to fall from the sky. A single roar from a great perfection quasi-sage was truly terrifying. Even the cultivators outside the Forbidden Zone were shaken by this roar. Some of the cultivators who were closer even started bleeding from their ears. So scary! Many cultivators hurriedly retreated into the distance. A battle of this level was way too horrifying. Even a great perfection quasi-sage would die if they were to head in. There was no way they could interfere at all. Other than some of the heaven-defying existences, all the other cultivators retreated thousands of miles away, not daring to get too close to the Forbidden Zone. Children, kill them all! Kill every single one of these humans! Don't leave a single one alive! The voice of the Lord of the Forbidden Zone rang out. Thereafter, a series of powerful auras appeared between the heaven and earth. Instantly, a chilling wind blew within the Forbidden Zone as malevolent beasts dashed out one after another. Roar! The roars of the beasts reverberated through the heaven and earth. One of them was a ferocious tiger with a pair of wings on its back and a single horn on its forehead. This was a mutated beast of desolation, the Cheongchi beast. That Cheongchi beast leaped up and pounced towards the immortal reverent battle formation laid out by the 18 war gods in an extremely ferocious manner. The Cheongchi beast of desolation was incomparably strong. The might of this single pounce caused the void below to collapse, turning into a destructive force that swept towards the battle formation laid out by the 18 war gods. Boom! A loud sound rang out. That Cheongchi beast relied on its powerful innate skills to clash head-on with the immortal reverent battle formation. The illusory doubt body that appeared above the immortal reverent battle formation dissipated, and the Cheongchi beast was sent flying by the force of the immortal reverent battle formation. And at this moment, countless beasts rushed out from the depths of the Forbidden Zone, pouncing towards the cultivators outside the Forbidden Zone. For a moment, the entire region was in chaos. Vile beasts! The mountain peak where Gu Fei was at wasn't safe either. To think that a ferocious snake had its eyes on them. This was a ferocious snake that was hundreds of feet long, emitting a violent aura. HEU. Before the ferocious snake could reach them, it opened its mouth and spat out a black mist. This black mist instantly enveloped the mountain peak where Gu Fei was at. This was a poisonous mist cultivated by the ferocious snake. As the poisonous mist was spat out, all the plants on the mountain peak began to lose their vitality rapidly, turning yellow. Humph! Gu Fei's body emitted chaotic divine light, blocking all the black mist that was rushing towards him. He punched out, and the ferocious snake was smashed into countless pieces, falling down from the sky. At this time, it was impossible for them to take advantage of the situation. Countless ferocious beasts were pouncing towards the human cultivators. Chapter 2013. The ruler of the Forbidden Zone had countless ferocious beasts under his command. These ferocious beasts were all desolate beasts that had been subdued by the ruler of the Forbidden Zone, becoming a powerful force under his command. Ferocious auras filled the air in the Forbidden Zone. Shadows of terrifying beasts could be seen. These were the strongest ferocious beasts under the ruler of the Forbidden Zone. Roar! The ferocious beasts roared, their voices shaking the heavens and earth. Everyone's expressions changed. No one would have thought that there would be so many ferocious beasts in the Forbidden Zone. Some people immediately retreated far away. What a joke! If these ferocious beasts all rushed out, who could stop them? At this time, the Cheongchi ferocious beast had already clashed with the 18 old war gods of the Central Plains. It was barely able to resist the 18 old war gods. What a vile beast! One of the old war gods roared. The immortal sovereign's battle formation was changing. The immortal sovereign's doubt body was faintly discernible, sending the legendary primordial ferocious beast flying again and again. The primordial ferocious beast was indeed worthy of its reputation. The Cheongchi's physical body was extremely tough. Even the power of the immortal sovereign's battle formation was unable to cause any damage to it. However, the immortal sovereign battle formation of the Central Plains was also extraordinary. After the battle formation was activated to a certain extent, the immortal sovereign's doubt body condensed from the battle formation gradually became clearer. The battle formation had successfully condensed the power of an immortal sovereign. The illusory doubt body emitted a powerful aura that looked down on the world. The hazy doubt body held a disc-like artifact in its hand. Although it was just standing there quietly, the aura it emitted seemed even more terrifying than the two true saint auras that erupted from the depths of the Forbidden Zone. Roar! The Cheongchi roared. The immortal sovereign's doubt body made it feel very uneasy. And just at that moment, yet another primordial beast charged over. This was a god elephant. This god elephant's entire body was covered in brown fur, and it was over 100 feet tall. With a single roar, it could cause the mountains to tremble. The 18 old war gods of the Central Province Immortal Manor were shocked. This black elephant was not ordinary, it was an ancient desolate beast. Its brute strength had reached an unimaginable level. In ancient times, the power of dragons and elephants was synonymous with power. The divine elephant directly rushed towards the immortal sovereign's battle formation. Its forehoofs stomped on the void, its ferocious aura sweeping out in all directions. Defend! 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 The 18 war gods in the immortal Venerable battle formation were incomparably nervous. This divine elephant was different from the Cheongchi ferocious beast. If they were hit by this divine elephant, even an immemorial divine mountain would be smashed into pieces. Buzz! The void trembled. Under the control of the 18 old war gods, the Tao patterns that formed the immortal battle formation immediately emitted a dazzling divine light. Spiritual energy from all directions crazily gathered. The celestial sovereign's body immediately became clear, as if it was going to walk out from the void. The aura of the celestial Tao spread out in all directions, as if the entire world was going to collapse from the pressure of this phantom. This supreme pressure caused everyone's expressions to change. Even Du Fei couldn't help but be moved. This type of battle formation was truly powerful, drawing over the power of an immortal Venerable. If this battle formation could be activated to the extreme, wouldn't it be equivalent to an ancient immortal Venerable taking action? Boom! The huge figure, holding a disc-shaped ritual implement, rushed towards the divine elephant that was charging over. The two collided in an instant, causing a loud sound to erupt. The instant the two of them collided, the entire world violently trembled. Then, with the two of them as the center, ripples visible to the naked eye rapidly spread outwards. Wherever this transparent ripple passed, the void began to collapse and be annihilated. Other than the 13 white-robed disciples of the middle state immortal manner who were enveloped by the immortal Venerable battle formation, the area within a radius of several thousand jang became a land of death. Everything was directly destroyed. Some unlucky cultivators didn't even have the time to scream before they were annihilated in this wave of destruction. Their bodies and souls were directly destroyed, and their belongings were also turned into flying ashes. That Cheongchi ferocious beast saw that the situation was not good, and had already retreated 1,000 li away, avoiding this terrifying wave of destruction. Under the impact of the powerful force, the entire immortal Venerable battle formation was actually knocked out of the restricted area. The 18 old war gods suffered a great impact, and some of them even had blood seeping out from the corner of their mouths. Ugh! One of the 13 white-robed disciples of the middle state immortal manner immediately spat out a mouthful of blood. His expression was extremely haggard, as if he had been injured by a heavy blow. Although the immortal Venerable's Tao body had blocked the force of the black divine elephant's charge, the force of the impact was simply too great. Even a greater perfection sage-to-be was affected by it. Even the 3 sons of the middle state were not spared, and suffered a great impact. The black divine elephant didn't have it easy either. Its huge body that was like a small mountain was sent flying thousands of jang away, crashing into the depths of the restricted area. At this time, none of the cultivators were spared. There were simply too many ferocious beasts charging out of the restricted area, and the hundreds of human cultivators were in danger of being drowned by the beast tide. However, these hundreds of human cultivators were the most powerful cultivators on Buzhou ancestral planet. They were existences that stood at the forefront of the cultivation world of Buzhou ancestral planet. Even a super force like the middle state immortal manner would find it difficult to deal with such a force, let alone the experts from the sovereign clans among them. Primordial spirit transformation, immeasurable clone! A loud roar rang out from a valley. Then, the entire valley was suddenly filled with densely packed figures as a powerful immortal energy spread out. Roar! There were ferocious beasts roaring in the valley. The powerful beast had sensed danger and wanted to charge out of the valley, but the valley was soon silenced by the attacks of the countless figures. Whoosh! The countless figures suddenly disappeared. Then, a young man wearing green clothes and carrying an ancient sword on his back walked out of the valley. The pungent smell of blood lingered in the valley. The corpses of hundreds of ferocious beasts were lying on the rocks. They had been killed on the spot. In other places there were also human experts making their moves. Their shocking killing intent caused the sky to change color. These people were the strongest of the strongest, and they were unstoppable as they reaped the lives of the ferocious beasts. However, there were also many cultivators who couldn't defeat the powerful ferocious beasts, and died under their sharp claws. Hugh! A huge bird that looked like a peacock stood on a mountain peak. It opened its mouth and inhaled. Immediately, a few figures flew over from the distance, and were swallowed by the bird. Legend has it that before the Buddhist Lord achieved the Tao, he was cultivating at the peak of a snowy mountain and was swallowed by a divine bird. Could this be the divine bird that can swallow people from 1,000 miles away? Chapter 2014. Even Gu Fei couldn't help feeling apprehensive when a ferocious bird that could swallow people from 1,000 miles away flew towards him. It had to be known that this ferocious bird had just swallowed several grand perfection quasi-saints into its stomach. This ferocious bird was definitely one of the most powerful primordial beasts in the Forbidden Zone. In ancient times, there was a peacock divine beast that swallowed the 1,000-year-old Buddhist lord who was cultivating on a snowy mountain. Although this bird wasn't the peacock divine beast, it definitely had the bloodline of the peacock race running through its veins. Gu Fei realized that the appearance of this ferocious bird was somewhat similar to the legendary peacock divine beast that had swallowed a Buddhist lord. Whoosh! The ferocious bird opened its mouth again and sucked in. Although they were hundreds of miles away, a powerful suction force instantly enveloped Gu Fei and the iron-blood Taoist. Then, the two of them flew forward. What? Gu Fei was both shocked and furious. This ferocious bird was too despicable. It thought that he was as easy to bully as a great perfection quasi-sage and swallowed him in one gulp. Boss! The iron-blood Taoist was enveloped by the suction force and couldn't help but turn pale with fright. He tried his best to break free from the suction force, but it was all in vain. This suction force was too powerful. Even an existence like the iron-blood Taoist couldn't resist after being enveloped by this suction force. I'll let you swallow. Gu Fei punched forward. The powerful fist energy directly broke through the suction force and bombarded the ferocious bird on the mountain. Although the powerful fist energy hadn't surged, the mountain in front of Gu Fei's fist was already shaking. The ferocious bird's eyes flashed with a hint of surprise. It didn't expect this human to be able to break through its suction force. Swish! The ferocious bird spread its wings and soared into the sky. Boom! At the moment when the ferocious bird soared into the sky, the mountain below it exploded. Gu Fei had destroyed a mountain with a single punch, causing dust to soar into the sky. Countless sand, stones, and mud splattered everywhere, covering a radius of several hundred miles. Many of the cultivators who were in the midst of fighting the wild beasts were affected by the shockwaves. They cried out in shock and retreated far away. Many unlucky wild beasts were struck by the flying stones and were instantly smashed into a bloody pulp, dying on the spot. The power of Gu Fei's punch was terrifying. Which Gu Fei is it? Gu Fei blew up a huge mountain with a single punch. The commotion he caused was too great, startling everyone. Someone recognized him and cried out in alarm. Although he had never been to the Middle Continent before this, he had made a name for himself in the southern region of Buzhou Ancestral Planet and defeated Zi Yunxiao, which had shaken the entire cultivation world of Buzhou Ancestral Planet. Even though many people had never seen Gu Fei before, they had heard of his name. It's the person who defeated Zi Yunxiao 10 years ago. Some people were extremely shocked. Gu Fei has finally made his move. Zi Yunxiao and his sister were astounded by the scene from afar. No one knew Gu Fei's strength better than Zi Yunxiao. 10 years had passed. Zi Yunxiao had been improving, but Gu Fei had not been idling around either. If the two were to fight again, it would be difficult to tell who would emerge victorious. Zi Yunxiao would definitely find Gu Fei in order to retrieve the drop of God's blood of supremacy. One should know that the drop of God's blood of supremacy was too important to him. Kill! At that moment, after Gu Fei had blown up the mountain with a single punch, he executed the Void 8 Desolation steps and instantly closed in on the bird, throwing out another punch. This was the simplest attack, but it displayed a kind of invincible fist intent. Its power was so great that it could break through all techniques. It was extremely powerful. The bird was obviously startled by Gu Fei's punch. The undefeatable fist intent emitted from Gu Fei made it very uneasy. Whoosh! The feathers on the bird's tail spread out like a peacock spreading its tail. There were 9 feathers that formed a fan shape, and on each feather, there was a 5-colored heavenly light circulating. The power of the 5 elements. Gu Fei sensed the vibrations from the bird and couldn't help but be surprised. This bird was not simple. Perhaps it really did have the pure bloodline of the peacock. Clang! The 9 feathers on the bird's tail flew up and turned into 9 swords. Waves of buzzing sounds rang out, and sword energy exploded. The temperature of the entire area dropped rapidly. The 9 swords that contained the power of the 5 elements headed towards Gu Fei's fist. Boom! Gu Fei's fist instantly collided with the 9 swords. The 9 swords stabbed into Gu Fei's fist, but they couldn't pierce into his flesh at all. However, the sword energy from the 9 swords made Gu Fei feel great pressure. The sword energy penetrated his fist and attacked his chest. Roar! Gu Fei let out a furious roar as his long hair began to dance wildly. A powerful chaotic energy rose from his dantian and gathered towards his right arm. The sword energy that invaded Gu Fei's right arm was immediately dispersed by the energy that erupted from his body. Not only that, the 9 swords that stabbed into Gu Fei's fist began to vibrate at the same time. This human... The bird was really shocked at this moment. Someone could actually use flesh and blood to resist the 5 elements sword that it had painstakingly cultivated. The skills of the bird were not to be underestimated. Among all the wild beasts, only a few were qualified to be its opponent. But now, it couldn't even take care of a puny human. This made it feel ashamed. The other beasts would definitely laugh at it. Even though the primordial era's savage beasts only appeared in their true forms, given their cultivation, they were capable of changing their forms at will. They could even take on the form of humans. The 9 swords were vibrating as if they could be blown away by the opponent's fist at any time. The bird was extremely shocked. Ever since it cultivated its skills, no human had been able to shake it. Once the 5 elements sword was used, it would definitely be returned with blood. Break! Gu Fei's eyes widened. With a roar, an even more powerful force rushed out of his dantian and rushed to his right arm. Bang! The power in Gu Fei's right fist exploded. Without any suspense, the 9 5 elements magical swords were directly sent flying by the force of the fist. How is this possible? The bird was shocked. It used its Xian technique and the 9 swords that were blown away by Gu Fei's fist flew back. At this moment, Gu Fei's fist arrived. The power that was emitted from Gu Fei's fist crushed the sky. How is this human so strong? Chapter 2015. Bang! Gu Fei punched out and the bird was immediately blown thousands of meters away. 5 colored feathers fell from the sky. The bird screeched and immediately turned into a 5-colored beam of light, rushing back from afar. Gu Fei had angered the bird. Clang! 9 beams of 5-colored divine light turned into startling rainbows and rushed out from the bird's body, piercing toward Gu Fei. They were like 9 heavenly swords that gathered the power of the 5 elements in the world. Each beam of divine light could pierce through the world. The destructive power spread in all directions. The cultivators and beasts nearby were shocked. They felt the danger and retreated in panic. Some people recognized Gu Fei and didn't dare to approach him. Human, you are very strong, but you have angered me. The bird's voice rang in Gu Fei's mind. This was a spiritual communication without any language barriers. This kind of communication was very common in the ancient times. Even in the present world, most cultivators still use this method of communication. Humph, what a joke. Do you think I should just stand here and let you eat me? Gu Fei sneered and said disdainfully. This was no longer the ancient times. This bird was not its ancestor, the peacock. Today, the human race was the ruler. You! The bird was enraged. It didn't say anything else. At this moment, the 9 beams of light had already arrived in front of Gu Fei. The powerful waves of energy tore the space in front of him into pieces. Roar! Gu Fei roared furiously at the sky. He did not dodge, and an unbelievably powerful chaotic true force erupted from his body. A layer of chaotic chi aura appeared on his body. Boom! The 9 streaks of 5 elemental essence energy collided with the layer of primal energy around Gu Fei's body, and the 5-colored divine radiance immediately engulfed him. Seeing this scene, everyone was shocked. Was this guy crazy? He actually dared to use his physical body to resist the ancient bird's 5 elements sacred art. This was simply courting death. This ancient bird could devour ordinary great completion quasi-sages as easily as crushing an ant. Although Gu Fei had defeated Zi Yunxiao before, he might not be able to use his physical body to resist the ancient bird's attack. Boss! Seeing this, the Iron Blood Taoist was terrified. If Gu Fei were to be killed by this ferocious bird, it would be difficult for him to move an inch in this desolate little world. The Iron Blood Taoist was very clear of his cultivation and strength. If he met an ordinary great completion quasi-sage, he would be fine. However, if he met a great completion quasi-sage like Zi Yunxiao, he would be in deep trouble. Boss, please be alright. The Iron Blood Taoist was worried about Gu Fei's safety. He knew that as long as he followed Gu Fei, he would gain some benefits. At the very least, others would have some reservations if they wanted to attack him. Rumble! The 9 streams of 5 elements sacred light exploded continuously. The destructive power of the 5 elements engulfed the void within a radius of thousands of feet. The void was destroyed as the 5 elements sacred light destroyed everything. This was the terror of the ancient bird that possessed the bloodline of the ancient desolate divine beast, the peacock. Killing you just like that would be letting you off easy. The ancient bird was filled with hatred. How dare this puny human offend him? He deserved to die. In the ancient times, the human race was incomparably weak. The powerful beasts were high and mighty. In the ancient desolate world, the human race was not the ruler of the world. They could only be enslaved by the powerful beings. However, it was different now. The human race had been through the baptism of countless years and managed to survive tenaciously. On the other hand, the powerful races in the ancient desolate world had disappeared in the long river of time. The primordial ferocious bird still maintained the arrogant attitude it had in ancient times. Although the human race had become much stronger in its eyes, in this small savage world, the primordial beasts were still the rulers. Kill! Just when everyone thought that it was impossible for Gu Fei to escape, a furious roar rang out from the shattered space. Subsequently, a figure broke through the chaotic space and charged out. Swoosh! A purple sword shadow shot out from between Gu Fei's eyebrows and instantly pierced through the ancient bird's head. The ancient bird's head exploded, turning into a cloud of blood mist. Everything happened too fast. It was so fast that even when the ancient bird's head exploded into a mist of blood, everyone still had no time to react. A bird with the bloodline of the peacock had died just like that. Its 5-colored headless body fell from the sky. Strands of 5 elements sacred chi flowed out of its body. This was the 5 elements sacred chi that the bird had cultivated for countless years. As long as the bird was alive, the 5 elements sacred chi would never leak out. The 5 elemental essence began to seep out of the bird's corpse, which indirectly meant that the bird had been killed by Gu Fei in an instant. It should be known that even if the bird's body was destroyed, the 5 elemental essence would not leak as long as its soul was not destroyed. Dead. It was killed just like that. Everyone who saw this scene was shocked. One must know that this was a bird that could easily devour a great perfection quasi-sage. Yet, it was killed just like that. This made the cultivators feel that the scene before them was unreal. Swoosh! Just as the bird's headless body fell from the sky, a figure suddenly rushed over from afar. That person stretched out his hand and took the bird's body away. Who is this person? How dare she steal something from this god of death? Everyone was shocked. They saw that this person was a little girl wearing purple clothes. This little girl was filled with spirituality, especially her big eyes, which were full of spirit. This thing is useful to me. How about giving it to me? The little girl smiled at Gu Fei. Humph, you know your stuff. Gu Fei chuckled. However, he had no intention of attacking the little girl. This little girl in purple robes was Zi Yunxiao's younger sister, Zi Yun'er. Even though 10 years had passed, Zi Yun'er was like a fairy that would never grow up. In these 10 years, her appearance and height had not changed at all. Could there really be such a body in this world? Gu Fei looked at Zi Yun'er and thought of something else. At this point in time, the army of beasts still had the upper hand. There were too few cultivators of the human race. Compared to the countless number of beasts, it was hard for the human race to turn the tables. However, after Gu Fei killed the 5 elements sacred bird, the strength of the entire army of beasts was reduced significantly. Kill! Just then, an angry roar came from afar. High up in the sky, a formation diagram could be vaguely seen. 2 terrifying beasts were attacking the formation together. The 18 old gods of war roared in unison. Their killing intent was terrifying. The immortal Reverent Tao body displayed a tremendous amount of power, and managed to defend against the attacks of the 2 ancient beasts. Chapter 2016. Roar! The roar of the savage beast shook the heavens and earth. The winged Qiongqi's speed was extremely fast. As it flapped its wings, invisible wind blades slashed out. Buzz! Countless wind blades slashed on the Grand Formation, causing the Grand Formation to let out a buzzing sound. Countless formation runes appeared, condensing the power of the immortal Tao, blocking all these invisible attacks. Qiongqi was an ancient beast that was most proficient in using the power of the wind between the heavens and earth. This power was invisible and traceless, making it impossible for one to defend against it. Moreover, its speed was a huge threat to the 18 old war gods. As for the other savage beast, it possessed an extremely tyrannical strength. That was the power of the divine elephant of the dragon elephant. That black divine elephant charged forward. Although it didn't display too many mystic arts, its elephant strength was so great that it could almost break through all mystic arts. Boom! The black elephant charged towards the immortal Venerable killing formation. Like a black mountain, it charged over crazily and crashed into the immortal Venerable killing formation. The entire killing formation shook. The force of the collision caused countless Tao runes to dissipate in the void. The immortal Venerable Tao body turned blurry, as if it was about to dissipate in the void. Within the killing formation, one could see ripples of space with the naked eye. These ripples were formed by the power of vibration. These ripples passed through the killing formation and into the killing formation. Blood seeped out from the corner of the mouths of the 18 old war gods standing on the ancient war chariots. The 13 white-robed disciples of the Middle State Immortal Mansion who were protected by the killing formation were in an even worse state. Some of them even fainted. Even the strongest of the 13 white-robed disciples, the 3 sons of the Middle State, had blood seeping out from their mouths and noses. At this time, he couldn't do anything, he was in a very awkward situation. From the start, they were protected by the immortal Reverent killing formation. From the start, they were protected by the immortal Venerable killing formation. At this moment, if they lost the protection of the immortal Venerable killing formation, they would be slaughtered by these 2 heaven-defying primordial beasts without any suspense. Even though these 2 savage beasts were not saint beasts, their physical bodies and strength were extremely powerful. They were only half a step away from becoming saint beasts. Such an existence was much more powerful than a great completion sage to be. One should know that the physical body and strength of beasts were naturally stronger than that of humans. Even if humans could become stronger through cultivation, they would still be much weaker than savage beasts of the same level. Moreover, these 2 primeval beasts were primeval beasts that had existed since the primeval age. The bodies of these primordial beasts were many times stronger than ordinary savage beasts. Even a true saint weapon would find it difficult to break through their defenses if it was not fully awakened. Once a savage beast was tamed, it would become the most terrifying killing tool in the world. The Black Fiend Divine Elephant was the main attacker. The Divine Elephant seemed to have gone mad as it slammed into the Immortal Supremacy killing array again and again. The power of the immortal supremacy killing array could only injure it, but it could not kill it. On the other hand, the Qiongqi was very smart. It was only assisting the Black Fiend Divine Elephant in attacking. Its power of wind could help the Black Fiend Divine Elephant offset a portion of the power of the killing array. In this way, the damage that the immortal supremacy killing array could do to the Black Fiend Divine Elephant was minimized. The battle fell into a stalemate. The two savage beasts could not break the immortal supremacy killing array, and the 18 old war gods could not activate the immortal supremacy killing array to eliminate the two savage beasts. Since we have already killed an ancient savage beast and sowed great enmity with the existence in the Forbidden Zone, let's fight to our heart's content. Gu Fei stood in the void and watched as the human cultivators suffered a one-sided defeat. The battle blood in his body could not help but boil as a shocking battle intent rushed out of his body. Kill! Gu Fei charged towards the two savage beasts that were attacking the immortal supremacy battle array. Great palm covers the sky. Gu Fei struck out with his palm, and a large chaotic palm immediately appeared in the void. It emitted a terrifying energy wave and slammed towards the hill-sized Black Fiend Divine Elephant. Rumble! The powerful martial arts force caused the void in front of the chaotic palm to shatter and annihilate. The terrifying force made the Black Fiend Divine Elephant feel threatened. The Black Fiend Divine Elephant roared and directly charged towards Gu Fei. Its black body was surrounded by murderous aura. This kind of murderous aura was almost tangible and could be vaguely seen with the naked eye. How many living beings did it have to kill to condense such murderous aura? Boom! The huge primal chaos hand slammed down on the black malevolent divine elephant, and the powerful force directly smashed the primitive savage beast into the shattered void. Swoosh! At the same time, Gu Fei appeared above Qiongqi in a flash. Qiongqi was taken aback. It never expected Gu Fei's speed to be so fast. While it was shocked, it flapped its wings and rushed forward like lightning. Bam! A muffled sound was heard. Qiongqi hurriedly turned around and saw that the human had actually stepped on the ground, creating a pitch-black hole in the space where it was originally standing. Qiongqi was shocked once again. The force of this human step was so strong that it could step through the void. Could it be that this human's physical body was so strong that it could go against that stupid elephant? At this moment, Gu Fei's figure suddenly disappeared. Qiongqi felt a great danger. Without thinking, it executed its movement technique and dodged. Just as Qiongqi charged out, Gu Fei's figure abruptly appeared at its original location. Following that, his figure turned blurry and disappeared into the void. Ha! Human, you dare to compete with me in speed? You really overestimate yourself! Qiongqi roared out in laughter. Its voice rang out within Gu Fei's heart, filled with disdain. After all, Qiongqi was a beast king that wielded the power of wind. Wielding the power of wind allowed Qiongqi's speed to be much faster than most beasts. Even if this human killed the five elements raptor, his speed would still be far inferior to Qiongqi. Looking at how this human was trying to catch up to him, Qiongqi thought that this human must have gone crazy. Humph! You won't be able to laugh in a while. Gu Fei stepped into the void and displayed his extreme speed of 8 steps. Every single step he took was as though he was teleporting, disappearing into the void instantly. By the time he reappeared, he had almost bumped into Qiongqi. So fast! Qiongqi was taken aback right now. How could this human's speed be this fast? Could this human have mastered the power of wind as well? That was impossible. One had to know that the power of wind was something that the Qiongqi race was born with. It was an innate skill, and not something that could be mastered through cultivation. Very soon, Qiongqi realized that the human was using a mysterious footwork technique while it was chasing after him. Just as Gu Fei and Qiongqi were chasing each other in the skies, a part of the void in the skies suddenly shattered. A black figure burst out from within the void. Chapter 2017. Gu Fei and the Qiongqi were moving rapidly in the skies. Even if it were a greater completion quasi-sage, it would be hard for them to catch a glimpse of their figures. Their figures only appeared for a brief moment before disappearing entirely. Roar! The Qiongqi howled out. The speed of this human was simply way too frightening. To think that he could catch up to it. How could this be? After all, it was the controller of the power of wind. Bam! A tremendous force surged out from behind, causing the Qiongqi, who was in the midst of moving rapidly, to fly forward. The blood within its body rumbled as a stream of blood oozed out from the side of its mouth. How could this be? The Qiongqi was about to go crazy. To think that its forte, speed, would be surpassed by a human. This was something that it could not accept. Xing! The void vibrated as the Qiongqi's body jerked. Countless transparent wind blades surged out from its body. Every single one of these wind blades possessed a transparent Tao pattern. This was the Qiongqi's killer move, one that could kill without leaving a trace. The earth-shattering transparent wind blades slashed behind him, enveloping the entire world. Every inch of the void was filled with these transparent sharp blades. Gu Fei dashed forward. A layer of chaos chi surged out from his body as a series of chaos Tao patterns appeared on his body. These were 9 blurry Tao patterns. Bam! 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 The transparent wind blades slashed onto the layer of chaos chi around Gu Fei's body. One by one, the wind blades exploded out, causing the layer of chaos chi to vibrate violently. However, even though the countless wind blades slashed onto the chaos chi, they could not break through the layer of defense around Gu Fei's body. Even though the chaos chi was vibrating violently, it did not dissipate. This time around, the Qiongqi was truly startled. To think that this human's defense would be this strong. Could he be the descendant of the legendary martial ancestor? Back in the ancient times, only the descendants of the martial ancestor would possess such a formidable physical body state. The martial body that they cultivated could even go against the Khanate godly beasts. Xing! Gu Fei separated his hands, and 5 divine swords appeared around him. These were 5 divine swords that each condensed the power of the 5 elements. This was a supernatural power that was derived from the cultivation of martial arts to a certain level. Shocking sword chi emanated from the 5 elements magical swords. The temperature of the entire world dropped rapidly due to the sword chi fluctuations. Go! Gu Fei waved his hands forward and the 5 swords hovering around him immediately turned into 5 streaks of resplendent light, piercing towards Qiongqi in front of him. What? The Qiongqi was taken aback. How could the power of the 5 elements appear on the body of this human? This was hard to believe. This had already surpassed his knowledge. Could this human possess the legendary chaos body? Although Qiongqi was shocked, it didn't dare to underestimate Gu Fei's extremely sharp attack. It quickly turned into a gust of wind and dodged. Die! Just then, a tremendous amount of energy burst forth from the front of the Qiongqi. A gigantic hand appeared out of nowhere, grabbing the gust of wind that the Qiongqi had turned into. Bam! The Qiongqi was knocked out of the void. The gigantic hand then closed up, and a tragic cry rang out. Thereafter, a bone-chilling sound of bones cracking rang out. Fresh blood oozed out from between the fingers of the gigantic hand and dripped onto the ground. To think that the ancient beast, the Qiongqi, would have its physical body ripped apart by a single hand. Even its essence spirit couldn't escape before it died. What? Everyone was stunned by this scene. To think that the ancient beast, the Qiongqi, would be killed by a single hand just like that. And the person who killed this beast was none other than Gu Fei. To think that there would be 2 Gu Feis appearing in the skies at this moment. How could this be? Unbelievable. To think that there would be 2 Gu Feis. Furthermore, the aura of these 2 Gu Feis seemed to be equally strong. This was definitely not as simple as a clone. One should know that the strength of a clone could not be compared to the original body. There was a certain gap between the strength of a clone and the original body. However, if this wasn't an out-of-body incarnation technique, what kind of divine power was it? 9 secrets of the immortal path, 3 pure ones. From afar, the Ziyunshao siblings could not help but exchange glances. This Gu Fei, could it be that he had really obtained the complete 9 secrets of the immortal path? The 9 secrets of the immortal path were the ultimate techniques created by the supreme Taoist ancestor. In the ancient times, these 9 secret techniques had been lost and were no longer complete. Since then, no one has been able to gather all 9 secret techniques. Could it be that Gu Fei had managed to gather all 9 secret techniques? The Zi Yinshao siblings found it hard to believe. One should know that it was far too difficult to gather all 9 secret techniques. It was already a great fortune for someone to obtain 1 or 2 of them. I've finally killed the beast. Gu Fei finally breathed a sigh of relief. He used the 1 Qi turning 3 pure ones divine technique to create a Taoist body. This Taoist body hid in the void with the anti-void secret technique, and killed the Qiongqi beast in one fell swoop when it revealed its weakness. After killing Qiongqi, his Taoist body turned into a puff of clear Qi, returned to his body, and submerged into his body. Rumble! At this moment, the black elephant that had charged out from the void charged at Gu Fei again. Its 4 hooves stomped on the air, causing the void to tremble violently. Die! Gu Fei didn't dodge. His martial body shook and his entire body suddenly enlarged, turning into a giant that was dozens of feet tall. His fists were like small mountains as he fiercely smashed towards the mammoth's huge head that was charging towards him. Boom! With a loud bang, Gu Fei's 2 fists fiercely smashed onto the mammoth's head. His physical strength was completely unleashed, and the chaotic true power condensed on his fist exploded in an instant. The perfect fusion of physical strength and martial true power allowed the power of Gu Fei's attack to be displayed to the extreme. The 2 shocking brute forces collided and a circle of visible ripples spread out. A large area of the void was shattered, torn apart, and the void was quickly annihilated. Everyone was stunned by the scene. They did not expect that Gu Fei would face the elephant head-on. It should be known that the primordial wild elephant was an ancient species that excelled in strength. Even an ancient divine mountain would be smashed to pieces by the elephant's charge. However, to everyone's astonishment, Gu Fei actually used 2 fists to block the elephant's charge. Roar! The giant that Gu Fei had turned into let out a roar. An even more powerful force erupted from his fists that were pressed against the elephant's head. The elephant roared and was actually forced back more than 10 steps by the force. This was something that had never happened before. A primordial barbarian elephant was actually pushed back by someone. This was simply unbelievable. One must know that this primordial barbarian elephant was a tyrannical existence that could shake an immortal venerable battle formation. Chapter 2018. To think that Gu Fei would dare to compete with the barbarian elephant in terms of strength. To think that he would be able to swing the barbarian elephant around. With a loud roar, he tossed the barbarian elephant into the depths of the forbidden zone. Who dares to fight with me? Gu Fei bellowed out. That body of his that was tens of feet tall emanated a horrifying might as he looked down on the entire world with a ferocious battle intent. Wherever his gaze landed, all the powerful beings would lower their heads. Even the most ferocious of beasts would feel their hearts trembling in fear under this invincible might of Gu Fei. One had to know that even those beast kings weren't a match for this human. What a good junior! To think that you would dare to kill the beast kings under my command! You deserve death! Just at this moment, a loud roar rang out from the depths of the forbidden zone. A pitch-black beast claw then stretched out from the depths of the forbidden zone and grabbed out at Gu Fei. That gigantic beast claw emanated out a torrential amount of energy that encompassed the entire world. The beast claw was filled with pitch-black scales that shone with a dark glow. Kill! Gu Fei's long hair fluttered in the wind as he raised both his fists and punched towards the incoming beast claw. The void in front of him was squeezed by the 2 fists, causing pitch-black spatial cracks to appear one after another. Boom! A loud explosion rang out as Gu Fei's fists slammed against that beast's claw. He could only feel a tremendous force surging through his fists as his entire body was sent flying. Bam! At the same time, that beast's claw jerked out as a translucent ripple spread out from it. Gu Fei's physical body received a tremendous impact. Boo-hoo! In the blink of an eye, Gu Fei was sent flying hundreds of thousands of feet away. While he was flying, he spat out a few mouthfuls of fresh blood. His lips and chin were filled with fresh blood. The ruler of the Forbidden Zone had struck out. With just a single strike, he was able to send the incredibly strong Gu Fei flying. This was simply way too scary. Looking at how Gu Fei could receive that strike and not even kill him, the ruler of the Forbidden Zone was taken aback. This human wasn't simple at all. What's the big deal about bullying a junior? Your opponent is me. Just at this moment, an elderly voice rang out across the world. Within the Forbidden Zone, a shadow of a beast wanted to rush out. However, it was stopped by an elderly man. Very well, then I'll kill you first, old man, then I'll kill that brat. The words of the ruler of the Forbidden Region were incomparably cold. The ruler of this Forbidden Region was a powerful existence that could fight against the saint who had sealed himself. It was truly unbelievable that such an existence existed in this tiny wildlands. Everyone couldn't help but suck in a cold breath when they saw the ruler of the Forbidden Zone easily injure Gu Fei. The ruler of the Forbidden Zone was too powerful. This is the true power of the divine path. Gu Fei was sent flying tens of thousands of feet away by the beast's claw. He was extremely shocked. The other party had really sealed his cultivation and battle prowess. If it was any other great perfection quasi-sage, he would have been destroyed in both body and soul. Only Gu Fei, who had cultivated a quasi-sage martial body to great perfection, could take on that strike of the ruler of the Forbidden Zone head-on. Gu Fei channeled his Heaven's Emergence secret skill. The injuries on his martial body were healing up rapidly as the power of Heaven's Emergence coursed through his entire body. The torn flesh on his fists were healing up at a speed that was visible to the naked eye. In just a few breaths' time, Gu Fei had already recovered to his peak condition. It was as though he had never been injured in the first place, and was still as mighty as ever. Gu Fei took a single step forth and traversed a distance of 100 miles instantly, entering the Forbidden Zone. Roar! Instantly, countless beasts surged out at Gu Fei like a tidal wave. Their killing intent was earth-shattering, causing the ground beneath their feet to tremble. Since you guys want to die, I'll grant you your wish. Gu Fei separated his hands, and countless sword blurs rushed out from his body. They turned into streaks of resplendent light, and pierced towards the countless beasts that charged at him. With flashes of light, blossoms of blood appeared. Every single beast was struck in the forehead, and the 5 elemental sword chi directly pierced their Naiwen palaces, destroying their souls. The beasts collapsed to the ground one after another, all killed in a single strike. Gu Fei's 5 elemental sword chi had pierced through their Naiwen palaces and destroyed their souls. In just an instant, the ground before him was covered with the corpses of beasts of various sizes. Roar! The Lord of the Forbidden Zone roared out furiously again. Gu Fei had slaughtered so many of his subordinates, so it was utterly enraged. It wanted to charge out and kill Gu Fei. However, the former sect master of the Middle Ground Immortal Manor was extremely powerful. He was a saint who had sealed himself. At this moment, 4 of the seals on the former sect master had already been undone. After the 4 seals were undone, the former sect master's condition immediately returned to his middle-aged state. This was the period when the former sect master was at his strongest. Rumble! The former sect master stood on the war chariot and immediately unleashed a killing move. With a wave of his hand, 10 balls of blazing divine light shot out from his hands, smashing towards the beast. Each ball of fire was like a divine sun, illuminating the world and emitting a scorching aura. With the appearance of the 10 balls of fire, the temperature of the entire Forbidden Zone rose rapidly. An ancient saint of fire! When Gu Fei saw this, he was shocked to the extreme. The former sect master who had sealed himself was actually a saint of fire who cultivated in the power of the fire attribute. The ruler in the Forbidden Zone was also quite impressive. Faced with the 10 balls of god fire, the beastly figure opened its mouth and sucked in all 10 balls of god fire, sucking them all into its belly. Swish! The beast directly swiped at the former sect master. Its pitch-black claws that were covered in scales tore through the void, forcing the former sect master to retreat. Whoosh! The beast opened its mouth and spat out a pillar of fire at Gu Fei, burning towards Gu Fei. This was the power of the old master's 10 balls of divine fire, and it was actually being used by this savage beast to attack Gu Fei. The terrifyingly hot divine fire engulfed Gu Fei in an instant, and then burned him. Collect! Gu Fei bellowed. The divine fire that was burning towards him seemed to be attracted by a great force, and gathered towards the ancient cauldron in his hand. The ancient cauldron was only the size of a fist. It was held in Gu Fei's hand. Primordial chaos chi swirled around the mouth of the cauldron, giving off a heaven-devouring power that endlessly swallowed the divine flames into the cauldron. This is... The ruler in the Forbidden Zone was dumbfounded when he saw that Gu Fei was actually able to absorb the flames. It had to be known that these were no ordinary flames. Roar! After absorbing the flames, Gu Fei roared towards the sky. His aura rapidly rose, and his martial body had already returned to its original state. Primordial Cave's Tao runes were faintly visible. Terrifying energy waves burst out from his body. Tenfold Ascension. Gu Fei displayed the Ascension secret art, causing his combat strength to soar tenfold. He then took a step forward and entered the depths of the Forbidden Zone, attacking the ruler of the Forbidden Zone. So what if it was the ruler of the Forbidden Zone? Chapter 2019. Gu Fei's battle intent was like a rainbow right now. To think that he would actually take a single step into the depths of the Forbidden Region and send out a punch at the Lord of the Forbidden Region. That powerful punch shook the entire world, causing even the Lord of the Forbidden Region to be visibly moved. "Junior, you're just courting death!" The Lord of the Forbidden Region roared out. To think that a puny little greater completion quasi-saint state human would dare to challenge him. This was simply insane. Was he not afraid of death at all? Bam! The Lord of the Forbidden Region stretched out a beast claw and welcomed the incoming punch of Gu Fei. That pitch-black beast claw was shrouded in a dark glow. A supremely powerful energy rippled out from that beast claw, shaking the entire world. Everyone's hearts were rattled. This was the true power of a saint state being. The Lord of the Forbidden Region was actually a saint beast. However, this saint beast had already sealed up its cultivation state and cultivation state. However, at this moment, this saint beast was the same as the old master of the Middle Continent Immortal Palace, releasing a few of the seals on its body. If it didn't release a few of its seals, this saint beast would definitely not be a match for the old master of the Middle Continent Immortal Palace. Boom! Gu Fei's fist collided fiercely with that black beast claw. There was no suspense at all. Even if Gu Fei were to unleash 10 times the strength of the heavens, it would still be hard for him to fight against a saint beast, even if it were a saint beast that had sealed itself up. Ugh! The only thing Gu Fei could feel was a sweet taste in his mouth before he spat out a mouthful of fresh blood. An unstoppable amount of power surged through his right fist, shattering the bones of his right arm as he was sent flying backward. Eh? That saint beast was extremely startled. To think that this human would not die under that strike of his. In fact, he was merely injured, but not fatally. This was something that was extremely surprising to it. Humph! That saint beast snorted coldly. Just as it was about to strike out once more, the old master of the Middle Continent Immortal Palace had already arrived. The old master was like an ancient god of fire. His entire body was emitting a boundless amount of god flames that dyed the entire sky red. Kill! The old master roared out. Waving his hand, 9 pillars of fire descended from the sky. Boom! 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 The earth trembled as 9 pillars of fire pierced into the ground, trapping the saint beast within. Blazing fire Tao patterns rushed out from the 9 pillars of fire and interweaved into a blazing fire array. Roar! Faint dragon roars came from the 9 fire pillars. Fire dragons could be faintly seen on the pillars. A savage aura spread out from the fire pillars. 9 dragons heavenly fire pillar! The holy beast was shocked. It could feel the aura of 9 true dragons coming from the 9 divine flame pillars. It was the aura of the primordial fire dragon. This 9 dragons heavenly fire pillar was a famous killing formation in ancient times. It was an immortal venerable divine weapon refined by 9 dragons immortal venerable. 9 dragons immortal venerable was extremely powerful. He killed 9 raging fire true dragons, extracted their dragon souls and dragon power, and sealed them inside the 9 dragons heavenly fire pillar. The power of 9 dragons was vast to begin with. After being refined into the 9 dragons heavenly fire pillar, the might of the formation became even more terrifying. Even if a real sage were to fall into the formation formed by the 9 dragons heavenly fire pillars, he would be burned to ashes without any suspense. At least you know your stuff. This time, you won't be as lucky as last time. The old master sat cross-legged in the air above the formation, controlling it with all his might. 9 dragon silhouettes condensed on the 9 fire pillars. Raging fire true dragons were supreme existences of the saint realm. The 9 dragon souls had their sentience erased, turning into puppets that only listened to the master of the 9 dragons heavenly fire pillar. The dragon souls and dragon power had fused with the fire pillars. Could it be that you are 9 dragons immortal venerable? The holy beast was shocked. Terrifying divine fire burst out from the 9 fire pillars, burning the void of the heaven and earth. The holy beast could feel the danger. The lord of the forbidden region had lived for countless years. He was an extremely powerful holy beast in ancient times. He knew how terrifying and immortal venerable was because he himself had almost broken through to that realm. If this old man was really 9 dragon immortal venerable, he would be in danger today. In ancient times, this 9 dragon immortal venerable was also a ruthless character. Otherwise, he would not have killed his way into the lair of the raging fire true dragons and killed them alone. No one doubted the strength of the raging fire true dragons. One should know that they were true dragons with the bloodline of the ancestral dragon. Wild dragons could not be compared to them. Even the 9 raging fire true dragons were not 9 dragon immortal venerables' match. No matter how arrogant the lord of the forbidden region was, he would not think that he was stronger than the 9 raging fire true dragons. Humph! The old master snorted coldly. He did not admit it. At this time, dragon roars resounded again. 9 dragon silhouettes rushed out from the 9 fire pillars and circled in the sky. The lord of the forbidden region could no longer maintain his composure. He felt a great threat. While the 2 Saint Realm experts were confronting each other, Gu Fei, who was sent flying by the lord of the forbidden region into a forest, soared into the sky again. Crack! He used the ascension power. The broken bones of his right arm trembled and grew back. His damaged flesh was also recovering at a visible speed. In just a short while, Gu Fei's martial physique had completely recovered. This was the profundity of the energy of ascension. No matter how heavily injured one was, or even if one's soul was scattered, so long as one's divine sense was not destroyed, one would be able to execute the ascension secret technique to reassemble one's soul and reconstruct one's body. The ascension secret art was one of the 9 secrets of the immortal Tao. It was known as an undying divine art. It was very difficult to kill someone who cultivated the ascension secret art. Unless one used some special method, it was impossible to kill such a person. Gu Fei's strength had returned to its peak state. He had already exited the state of ascension. This was something he had learned from his experience in the constant battles he had fought. He used the ascension secret art to increase his strength. After launching an attack, he could exit the ascension state again. He did not need to maintain this state. This way, Gu Fei could use the ascension secret art for a longer period of time. What a powerful saint beast. It's still so strong even after sealing itself. How terrifying. Gu Fei clashed head-on with the saint beast. He knew very well that this was not the saint beast's true strength. If it had attacked with its full strength, he would not have been able to recover so easily. But I've also used my full strength. Gu Fei had his own trump cards, but he would not reveal them so easily, especially in a situation like this. He would never allow his opponent to figure out his true strength. That way, his opponent would have some misgivings about him, and would not dare to attack him carelessly. Although the Saint Beast had knocked him out of the forbidden region, Gu Fei still managed to find the location of the undying tree with a quick glance. Chapter 2020. The immortal God tree was rooted on a scarlet divine rock. The tree was only about 10 meters tall, and there were 9 blood-red fruits on it. Those blood-red fruits were the legendary Tao fusion fruits. The old prefecture master and the sacred beast were locked in battle. Terrifying shockwaves swept across heaven and earth, but the immortal God tree was not affected. A blood-red light shield emerged from the scarlet divine rock. The blood-red light shield enveloped the immortal God tree, blocking out the energy shockwaves from the outside world. With the protection of the blood-red light shield, the immortal God tree did not escape from this place. The immortal godly medicine was an item with a spirit of its own, and it could sense the dangers that came from the outside world. Even though this godly medicine that could grant immortality could not cultivate, its sensitivity towards danger was something that all other living beings could only dream of. As long as it sensed danger, the immortal God tree would escape immediately. Rumble! At this moment, the old prefecture master finally activated the 9 dragons' heavenly fire pillar. Monstrous flames surged from the formation, shrouding half the sky. Roar! The sacred beast trapped in the 9 dragons' heavenly fire pillar roared. Its voice was earth-shattering. The sacred beast was in great danger. The might of the 9 dragons' heavenly fire pillar was not a joke. One must know that even in the ancient times, when experts were everywhere and sages were alive, the 9 dragons' heavenly fire pillar's reputation was not just for show. It was earned through fighting. In the ancient times, countless experts were trapped by the 9 dragons immortal Venerable with the 9 dragons' heavenly fire pillar. They were then refined into ashes, their bodies and souls destroyed. 9 Dragon Immortal Venerable was a very powerful existence. The number of experts that died in his hands could be said to be innumerable, especially those of the demon race. Tao patterns condensed from raging flames intertwined between the 9 divine fire pillars. The 9 divine fire pillars were the array eyes of the array, providing the array with a steady stream of energy. 9 fire dragons swam between the 9 heavenly fire pillars. The terrifying divine fire that spread from the fire dragons burned the void silently. It was extremely terrifying. In the center of the 9 dragons' heavenly fire pillar, a ball of cyan light was flickering. It was a large bell that enveloped the sacred beast and kept the mighty divine fire outside. Clang! A bell chime resounded through the 9 heavens, and an invisible sound wave spread out from the bell. The holy beast, who had taken the form of a human and was sitting cross-legged inside the bell, was driving the power of the bell to fight against the 9 dragons' heavenly fire pillar. Saint Weapon! In the air above the 9 dragons' heavenly fire array, the old manor lord of the central province immortal mansion was incomparably shocked. This saint beast was not simple at all. It actually had a saint artifact. The invisible sound waves vibrated inside the 9 dragons' heavenly fire formation. The power of fire inside the formation was weakened, and the 9 dragon shadows became blurry. Those 9 fire dragons weren't even real dragon souls, but rather dragon shadows formed from the essence of 9 raging true dragons. Given the old manor lord's current cultivation base, it was difficult for him to truly awaken the dragon souls slumbering in the 9 dragons' heavenly fire pillar. The 9 dragons' heavenly fire pillar was an immortal venerable magic treasure. Its quality was much higher than ordinary saint-grade magic treasures, and it was harder to control. All of you, quickly go and take that immortal tree. The old manor lord transmitted his voice to the 18 old war gods. At this time, he had already trapped the sacred beast. Although he couldn't kill it, he could make it difficult for it to stop the 18 old war gods. Rumble. 18 ancient chariots crashed down from the sky. The 18 old war gods of the central province immortal mansion had made their move. They directly rushed into the depths of the forbidden zone. As for the 13 white-robed disciples of the central province immortal mansion, they stayed outside the forbidden zone. The 13 white-robed disciples of the Central Province Immortal Mansion had suffered varying degrees of injuries in the battle between the 18 old war gods, the Cheongchi savage beast, and the barbaric elephant. Even the 3 sons of the Central Province were no exception. The most powerful savage beast under the Sacred Beast command had been killed by Gu Fei, but there were still many more powerful savage beasts rampaging in all directions. Human cultivators continued to die under the sharp claws of these savage beasts. Kill! The 13 white-robed disciples of the Central Province Immortal Mansion made their move. They charged into the horde of savage beasts, causing blood to splatter everywhere. One after another, the savage beasts fell. The 13 white-robed disciples vented the frustration in their chests. Just now, they were protected by the 18 old war gods in the immortal Venerable battle formation and were passively attacked. Now, however, they took the initiative to attack. With the addition of this force, the situation of the human cultivators immediately showed signs of turning around. Attack! A loud shout came from the depths of the Forbidden Zone. It was the voice of the 18 old war gods. Gu Fei's heart skipped a beat when he heard the voice. Then, he didn't think too much about it. He directly entered the depths of the Forbidden Zone and arrived at the place where the immortal tree had taken root. When Gu Fei arrived near the immortal tree, he saw the 18 old war gods attacking the blood-colored light barrier that enveloped the immortal tree. Under the attacks of the 18 old war gods, the blood-colored light barrier trembled continuously as if it could collapse at any time. Attack! The hoarse voice roared. A tall old war god among the 18 war gods held a divine spear and pointed it forward. The immortal sovereign grand formation formed by the 18 war gods immediately condensed a heaven-shaking power. Boom! This force transformed into a dazzling divine light that slammed heavily onto the blood-colored light barrier around the immortal tree. Under the impact of this divine light, cracks began to appear on the surface of the blood-colored light barrier. Through these tiny cracks, a faint medicinal fragrance seeped out from the blood-colored light barrier. The aura that allowed one to comprehend the Tao caused everyone's spirits to rise. The fruits of fusion of paths had ripened. The 9 fruits of fusion of paths were like 9 blood-colored hearts that seemed to be beating. Beneath the skin of the blood-colored fruits, there seemed to be some kind of life. This is amazing! Gu Fei couldn't help but be dumbfounded at the sight. Could there really be life within the fruits of fusion of paths? He was very careful and hid himself at the side, not being discovered by the 18 old war gods. He was waiting for the best opportunity, and he realized that he wasn't the only one who had such thoughts. At least 3 people had also snuck into the depths of the Forbidden Zone. As long as the blood-colored light barrier around the immortal tree was broken by the 18 old war gods, the other experts hiding nearby would make their move immediately. No one could resist the temptation of the fruits of fusion of paths, because the fruits of fusion of paths represented the hope of becoming a sage. As long as one consumed the fruits of fusion of paths, it was equivalent to having 1 foot in the sage level. Since the primordial times, countless cultivators had struggled bitterly for the sake of it. Becoming a sage was the goal of all living beings. For this goal, all cultivators would do anything. The appearance of the fruits of fusion of paths had driven all cultivators crazy. Even the old sect master, who had become a sage, and the sacred beast were fighting with their lives on the line. Damn it, despicable humans! The sacred beast trapped in the 9 dragons of the heavenly fire formation roared. It was attacking the formation with all its might, causing the entire formation to shake violently. The 9 true fire dragons formed from the 9 dragons of the heavenly fire pillars were also roaring. With the support of the true dragon force, the terrifying true dragon flames trapped the huge bell within the formation. It was pulled into the inner world by the inner world energy. Chapter 2021. The undying God tree had actually escaped, causing everyone to be shocked. Rumble! Gu Fei opened up his inner world and enveloped the undying God tree. A heaven-devouring force surged out from his inner world. However, the heaven-devouring force was unable to keep the undying God tree into his inner world. The undying God tree charged into the depths of the forbidden zone. Chase. The 18 old war gods drove their war chariots and chased after the direction where the undying God tree disappeared. This was an undying God herb, something that even a sovereign would covet. No one was willing to miss out on this opportunity to obtain the undying God herb. Swish. 5 to 6 figures rushed over from afar. 3 of them were the experts that were sent flying by the immortal Venerable's battle formation. They were extremely powerful existences. One of them was someone that Gu Fei was familiar with, Ziyun Shao of the Ziyun clan. The other person was a woman with a golden mask. She was the golden goddess of the golden clan. Gu Fei did not recognize the third person. It was a man that resembled both a god and a devil. His eyes constantly flickered with a brilliant light, and the baleful aura on his body was very heavy. It seemed like he had killed quite a lot of living beings. The 3 of them had heaven-defying cultivation bases. Even though they were sent flying by the immortal Venerable's battle formation, they did not suffer much damage and could still fight for the undying God tree. I'm still a step too slow. Gu Fei closed his inner world. At this moment, a scarlet fruit was floating in his inner world. He did not keep the undying God tree into his inner world. Instead, he kept the fruit of Tao that fell from the undying God tree into his inner world. With a thought, the floating fruit of Tao was kept into the mountain and river cauldron by Gu Fei. In the chaotic situation just now, no one noticed that Gu Fei had obtained a fruit of Tao. At this moment, everyone was chasing towards the depths of the forbidden zone. Human, I'll fight you to the death! At this time, the sacred beast trapped in the 9 dragons' heavenly fire pillar became anxious. It had guarded this tree of immortality for countless years and had waited for this tree to bear the fruit of fusion of paths. Seeing that the tree of immortality was about to escape, it was shocked and enraged. It began to fight desperately. Clang! The divine bell was ringing. Countless patterns of the Tao appeared on the divine bell, interweaving into ancient and profound patterns. Under the full power of the sacred beast, this saint tool actually showed signs of awakening. Terrifying power of the divine path emanated from the divine bell, and the 9 dragons of the heavenly fire formation began to shake. The power of the dragons and the 9 fire pillars began to awaken under the impact of the power. Open! The sacred beast went all out. It gathered the power of the divine bell with all its might, and the aura of the divine path swept through the sky and the earth, shaking the entire 9 dragons' divine fire matrix. Dark spatial cracks extended from the matrix. You're not the only one who will risk your life. Sitting cross-legged in the air above the 9 dragons' heavenly fire array, the old master roared. Now that he had to settle old and new grudges, he was going all out. He bit the tip of his tongue and spat a mouthful of blood essence onto the 9 dragons' heavenly fire pillars. Buzz! The 9 dragons' heavenly fire pillars began to vibrate at once. Saint-rank Tao patterns emerged rapidly on the pillars, and a terrifying real dragon aura spread out from the pillars. The old sect master used a mouthful of blood essence to awaken the dragon's souls within the 9 divine flame pillars. Roar! An earth-shattering dragon roar resounded. 9 fire dragons appeared on the 9 towering fire pillars, swimming around them. The power of the real dragons erupted, and the void was incinerated by the divine fire. Terrifying divine flames spread out from the 9 blazing dragons on the 9 divine fire pillars, enveloping the entire formation and burning towards the sacred beasts in the formation. You really are the 9 dragons' immortal sovereign. The sacred beast was truly stunned by the old sect master's methods. This human saint could awaken the 9 dragons' heavenly fire pillars? How was that possible? The 9 dragons' heavenly fire pillar was an immortal sovereign artifact refined by the legendary 9 dragons' immortal sovereign. Only the 9 dragons' immortal sovereign could wield it freely. Rise of the 9 dragons, destroy the universe. Die. The old sect master did not say anything else. He used the most powerful move of the 9 dragons' heavenly fire matrix, summoning the 9 dragons' heavenly fire pillars' souls. Roar! Dragon roars shook the heavens. The 9 dragons' heavenly fire pillars broke free from the 9 divine flame pillars, unleashing an overwhelming draconic aura as they charged towards the sacred beast and the matrix. You! The sacred beast was shocked. One should know that this was an immortal sovereign artifact. The 9 dragons' heavenly fire pillars' souls had all awakened and were attacking it at the same time. This was equivalent to an attack from an ancient immortal sovereign. Buzz! The sacred beast desperately activated the divine bell. Countless Tao runes rushed out from the divine bell. A terrifying destructive sound wave spread out in all directions. The sacred beast had also activated the power of this sacred weapon. Wherever the sound wave passed, a large area of divine fire was extinguished, the void was annihilated, and even the chaotic chi was shaken out. Boom! The 9 dragons' heavenly fire pillars instantly collided with the green light screen of the divine bell. Countless green Tao runes dissipated in an instant. Under the impact of the 9 dragons' heavenly fire, the light screen condensed by the power of the divine bell crumbled instantly. The terrifying true dragon fire engulfed the divine bell and the sacred beast in an instant. Roar! The 9 dragons' heavenly fire pillars roared, as if real true dragons' heavenly fire pillars had descended. The might of the dragon spread for hundreds of thousands of miles, shaking the heavens. All the living beings in the desolate little world trembled. The true dragon was an existence that stood at the peak of the countless living beings in the world. The might of the dragon spread out, and even the most powerful savage beast had to bow its head. This was the 9 dragons' heavenly fire pillar. The roars of the Lord of the Restricted Zone came from the 9 dragons' heavenly fire pillars. From the roars, one could tell that the Lord of the Restricted Zone was in big trouble. The Lord of the Restricted Zone wanted to go all out, but the other party was even more terrifying than the Lord of the Restricted Zone. One should know that the 9 dragons' heavenly fire pillar was an immortal sovereign artifact refined by an immortal sovereign. In terms of grade, it was several grades higher than the sacred beast's divine bell. Even though they were both sacred weapons, they were also divided into different grades. It was impossible for every sacred weapon to be the same. An immortal sovereign was a quasi-supreme artifact. This 9 dragons' heavenly fire pillar was a quasi-supreme artifact that could suppress the sacred beast's divine bell. This was also what the old master of the Central Province Immortal Mansion relied on. This time, the old master of the Central Province Immortal Mansion wanted to flatten this restricted zone in the desolate little world, and then completely control it. It could be said that the undying divine tree was only one of the reasons why the Central Province Immortal Mansion attacked the restricted zone. One should know that the Central Province Immortal Mansion had been preparing for this battle for a long time. Chapter 2022. The true dragon divine flame was refining the Saint Beast. The prefecture master was really putting his life on the line. He spat out 9 mouthfuls of blood essence in a row. With each mouthful of blood he spat out, his expression grew wearier. After the 9 mouthfuls of blood, the prefecture master's recovered youthfulness faded once more. His black hair turned white and wrinkles appeared on his face. The prefecture master seemed to have aged a few thousand years in an instant. The aura he exuded could no longer be maintained at its peak. "I'll refine you to death even if I have to risk my life." The prefecture master's voice became incomparably old once more. The 9 mouthfuls of blood essence weren't simple. They were his chi essence, his life force. The dragon souls inside the 9 dragons' heavenly fire pillar were finally fully awakened. Rumble! The 9 dragons' heavenly fire formation unleashed its full power. The entire heaven and earth trembled. Endless true dragon divine fire burst out from the 9 pillars, burning the heaven and earth. The terrifying temperature annihilated the void. Nothing could survive in the grand formation. Everything was burned into nothingness by the divine fire, leaving only a divine bell floating in the midst of the divine fire. The saint beast inside the divine bell was incomparably shocked. It was too late to undo all the seals on its body. The power of the 9 dragons' heavenly fire formation had already erupted. At this time, even if a real sage was trapped in the 9 dragons' heavenly fire formation, he would be burned to death by the monstrous real fire emitted by the 9 dragon souls. The 9 Dragons' heavenly fire pillar was an immortal Venerable's magic treasure. Its full power was equivalent to an ancient immortal Venerable attacking. Roar! Inside the divine bell, the sacred beast roared. At this time, it could no longer care about anything else. It discovered that cracks had already appeared on the divine bell protecting its body. If this divine bell were to shatter, then it would also be burned to ashes by the true dragon god flames. All right. Since you're willing to sacrifice yourself to activate the divine fire pillar, I have nothing else to say. Let's perish together. The saint beast in the form of a black-robed middle-aged man roared at the sky. He was unwilling to die like this. The real battle had yet to begin. It was useless to be unwilling. He couldn't wait any longer. Boom! The middle-aged man's body shook violently, and then something seemed to shatter within him. After that, a torrential surge of saint force erupted from within him. Roar! The holy beast let out a furious roar and revealed its true form. It was a qilin covered in cyan scales. An extremely pure imuchi surged out from the qilin's body. Wood qilin! At this moment, the entire wildlands was filled with the aura of the wood qilin. The aura of a saint realm expert enveloped the entire world. All of the living beings in the wild world were trembling. This was fear that originated from the depths of their souls. A supreme saint-level existence had actually appeared in this world. The aura of a sacred rank expert suppressed everything. Even the laws of heaven and earth in this small world were completely suppressed by the power of a sacred rank expert without any suspense. Rumble! The aura of the wood qilin burst out from the 9 Dragons' heavenly fire pillar. The entire wildlands trembled and became very unstable. This made everyone feel threatened. However, no one dared to resist the oppressive aura of a saint. Everyone felt powerless in the face of this power. Boom! With a loud bang, the wood qilin's protective divine bell finally exploded. Under the control of the wood qilin, the destructive energy shot towards the old palace lord who was above the 9 Dragons' heavenly fire formation. The 9 blazing true dragon souls flew up and gave off boundless dragon might as they pressed down together. The 2 divine bloodline powers collided. Roar! The 9 dragon souls roared, and the power of the dragon spread out in all directions, forcefully suppressing the destructive power that had soared into the sky. As expected of an immortal Venerable's supreme treasure, the holy beast sighed. At this time, the imuchi around its body blocked the true dragon heavenly fire. However, the true dragon heavenly fire itself was the nemesis of the imuchi. The wood qilin couldn't hold on for long. At this time, an unfathomable force descended. The wood qilin was shocked. Crack! Like the most exquisite piece of jade cracking, a crack appeared between the wood qilin's eyebrows, and a trickle of blood seeped out of it. No! The wood qilin was scared out of its wits. However, cracks began to spread from its forehead. No matter how much the wood qilin urged the sacred rank expert in its body, it couldn't stop the process of destruction. Humph! How dare you completely remove the seal and restore your sacred rank expert cultivation base? You're courting death. The old palace lord was frightened to see this. The power that could destroy a sacred rank expert was unstoppable. No matter how strong a sacred rank expert was, once all the seals on their body were removed, they would self-destruct without exception. Perhaps this was the reason why there were no true saints in the human world. Under the old palace lord's control, the 9 Dragons' heavenly fire formation immediately switched from offense to defense. The 9 dragon souls sealed the 9 directions, trapping the wood qilin within the formation. Crack! Cracks kept appearing on the wood qilin's body. Even its primordial spirit was the same. Cracks appeared as if it could collapse at any time. So it's like this. I can't accept this. The wood qilin sighed at the sky. Then, the light in its eyes gradually dimmed. The cracks on its body covered its entire body. Its vitality had been severed. Like a lamp that was burning brightly, it was suddenly extinguished. Bang! The wood qilin's body exploded. Countless fragments flew in all directions. Then, it turned into dust and dissipated in the air. Nothing existed anymore. A powerful sacred beast died just like that. It couldn't resist at all. This was a supreme sacred beast that had existed since ancient times. It had once dominated the ancient world and was almost invincible. But even such a powerful existence had to die. The old palace lord's heart pounded. This was the result of completely removing the seal. He forced the woodchilin to remove all the seals on its body and restore its sacred rank expert cultivation base. The old palace lord knew that the wild little world couldn't completely isolate the aura of a sacred rank expert. He had already predicted the woodchilin's fate. Of course, if he hadn't brought the 9 dragons' heavenly fire pillar into the wild little world, he wouldn't have been able to kill this sacred beast. A sacred rank expert who sealed their own cultivation base was no longer a true sacred rank expert. In the human world, sacred rank experts who sealed their own cultivation base didn't dare to fully restore their sacred rank expert cultivation base. Because once their cultivation base was restored to its peak, disaster would befall them. No one knew why the world became like this. Sacred rank experts couldn't come into being. There was a power above the great Tao of the world that threatened all sacred rank experts. Chapter 2023. Kill. In the depths of the Forbidden Grounds, all the strong cultivators gave their all to fight for the immortal God Tree. All sorts of lights shot out from the depths of the Forbidden Grounds, and every single one of them seemed to be able to tear the heavens apart and pierce through space. Boom! A mountain peak was blasted apart, causing dust to soar into the sky. A figure rushed out from the dust, chasing after a divine tree. Ha ha! The immortal God Tree is mine! That person laughed out loud and unleashed a great mystic ability, conjuring a huge hand that grabbed at the escaping immortal God Tree, wanting to take it away. Humph! A cold snort could be heard as a figure surrounded by dense killing intent appeared. Then, a ray of light shot out from the man's hand and collided with the huge hand. Buzz! Cold sword chi erupted, and the sword light was indestructible. It directly minced the large hand into pieces with matchless might. You! That person was greatly alarmed. Just as that person was filled with shock and anger, the sword light that had crushed the giant hand made a turn in the air and actually shot toward that person. Whoosh! The man escaped immediately, not daring to fight with the man who was surrounded by killing intent. After the man with the baleful aura scared off the man, he leisurely chased after the undying God Tree. He was one with the sword, and his speed was so fast that he could actually catch up to the undying God Tree. Wu Qiong, where do you think you're going? Just then, 3 white figures dashed over from afar. One of them struck out at the man with the murderous aura, while the other 2 were trying to stop the immortal godly herb. Wu Daoi, others might be afraid of the middle ground trio, but I treat you like a pile of sh*t. Since you dared to stop me, you should be prepared to die. Wu Qiong's body glowed brightly, and he looked like a heavenly sword that had been unsheathed. His sword chi shot up to the sky and blocked all the silver needles that were flying towards him. Humph, the Imperial Killer of the Western Regions. What a great name! Wu Daoi controlled countless silver needles as they danced around him. The silver needles turned into rays of light as they flew through the air. This magical item was no small matter. If one was struck by it, the consequences would be unthinkable. It was one of Wu Daoi's trump cards. Wu Daoi had once battled with Gu Fei endlessly, and his cultivation was extremely powerful. He was a true peerless expert among the Central Plains' 10 great heroes. Kill! The Western Region Killer Emperor, Wu Qiong, did not say anything else. He immediately displayed his strongest sword skill. Countless rays of sword light shot out from his body and formed a huge sword of light that slashed towards Wu Daoi's head. This was a beam of sword light condensed from the boundless energy of the sword. It was 300 m long and dazzling, and the sword chi that emanated from it caused the world to pale in comparison. The sword light slashed down, seeming as if it was going to cleave heaven and earth in two. The extremely domineering sword light was invincible and difficult to resist. Even Wu Daoi couldn't help but be moved. Since Wu Daoi was called the Killer Emperor, it was not just for show. This person cultivated the killing sword technique, which was why the murderous aura around him was so strong. People who cultivated the Tao of killing were extremely terrifying. Such people were extremely murderous, and if they did not like each other, they could just swing their sword and kill someone. Hence, such people were extremely dangerous. Wu Daoyi did not fight the Killer Emperor directly. He used his escape technique and left a shadow behind while his real body had already retreated thousands of feet away. Invisible needles, go! Dots of silver light shot out from Wu Daoyi's body and disappeared into thin air. It was as if the needles had disappeared into thin air. This is... The Killer Emperor, Wu Qiong, saw this and was shocked. Wu Daoyi's skills were not to be underestimated. The three sons of the Central Plains were not undeserving of their reputation. I don't care what skills you have. I will destroy it with my sword. The Killer Emperor, Wu Qiong, became one with his sword and transformed into a dazzling ray of light. He did not care where the invisible needles were coming from as he charged towards Wu Daoyi. Ding! 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 Sounds of collision could be heard as the invisible needles collided with the ray of light. However, they were all repelled by the ray of light and were unable to harm Wu Qiong at all. The dark red ray of light pierced through Wu Daoyi's body in an instant. Rise! Wu Daoyi did not panic because of the Killer Emperor's sharp ray of light. He formed a hand seal and a ray of golden light flew out from his back and wrapped around the ray of light. An aura of the holy Tao emanated from the golden light. Divine weapon! The Killer Emperor, Wu Qiong, was taken aback. It was a golden rope. Wu Daoyi wanted to use a rope to destroy his killing sword's ray of light. Buzz! The ray of light vibrated and the ray of light suddenly split into more than 10 rays of light. They all shot towards Wu Daoyi from different directions. At such a short distance, the ray of light suddenly split into more than 10 rays of light. This shocked Wu Daoyi. However, when he thought about the origin of the golden rope, he relaxed. Whoosh! As the golden light flickered, the golden rope wrapped around the dozen sword lights in an instant. Then, the sword lights that were wrapped around by the golden rope were directly minced into pieces. However, Wu Daoyi was not happy because the rays of light were not the real body of the Killer Emperor. The real body of the Killer Emperor had already escaped. Chapter 2024. Gu Fei's attack was extremely powerful. The experts from the north were no match for him at all. He threw them out of the valley, one in each hand. The tree of immortality is mine! After throwing the experts from the north out, Gu Fei took a step forward and approached the pearl of immortality in an instant. He extended his hand and was about to take the tree of immortality away. Virum! At that moment, Gu Fei felt the space above his head shake violently. Then, an extremely powerful force came down from the sky. This is... He abruptly raised his head, only to see a large golden net descending from the sky, covering his head. High up in the sky stood a woman wearing a golden mask. The golden goddess had arrived. Fist of Chaos. Gu Fei did not hesitate. He used his most powerful battle technique right away. Patterns of the Tao of Chaos appeared on his fist, and a divine aura spread from his fist. This was the power of a demi-saint. It already had some of the characteristics of a saint. Although it was not the true power of the divine path, it was still extremely powerful. The ferocious fist force blasted a big hole in the golden net that was shrouding it. Specks of golden light dissipated in the void. The monstrous fist force directly collided with the figure high up in the sky. Tao soldiers, appear! The golden goddess had wanted to fight with Gu Fei. This was a rare opportunity. She shouted and spread her hands. 9 golden Tao soldiers appeared around her immediately. That is... Gu Fei sensed a powerful divine aura from the 9 Tao soldiers around the golden goddess. It was an aura that only real Tao soldiers had. However, the 9 Tao soldiers were not real Tao soldiers. They were 9 shadows. How did she do it? Gu Fei was bewildered. Could it be that she actually had 9 saint weapons on her? It was obvious that the golden goddess was using the power of the Tao soldiers for her own use. If she did not have a Tao soldier, How could she use the power of the divine path that was unique to Tao soldiers? At that moment, the golden goddess extended her hand and took one of the Tao soldiers. It was a golden saber. Shwa! The golden goddess directly slashed with her blade. A dazzling golden blade light immediately soared up and transformed into a peerless heavenly blade. It directly broke through Gu Fei's chaotic fist force and fell on Gu Fei's head. Yes! Gu Fei was startled when he saw how powerful the golden goddess' attack was. He raised his hands and clasped them together, directly catching the heavenly saber that was slashing down from the sky. The golden goddess was truly shocked. Her opponent had actually used both hands to block her saber. His palms were like two immemorial divine mountains. After the golden saber light was blocked, it couldn't sink any further. How can a body of flesh and blood be so powerful? The golden goddess could not believe it. She knew very well that this technique of hers was a Tao soldier ability that had been cultivated by drawing the essence of the 9 true golden Tao soldiers into her body. There were 9 golden Tao soldiers in the Gold Clan. In order to cultivate this technique, the golden goddess had faced the 9 Tao soldiers alone for over 1,000 years. She communicated with them day and night, absorbing their essence into her body. After a long time, the golden goddess had finally cultivated this technique. She was borrowing the power of the Tao soldiers for her own use. Although it wasn't a true Tao soldier descending, it was still a manifestation of the Tao soldier's power. The attack of the Golden Saint Blade was definitely comparable to the full-powered attack of a true quasi-saint divine weapon. This was the Golden Goddess trump card. She wouldn't use it easily, but Gu Fei was no ordinary opponent. He was definitely a god of death. Roar! Gu Fei's hands clasped together the 10,000 zhang long golden saber light, but it was extremely strenuous for him. He roared and attacked with all his might. A heaven-shaking energy surged out from his dantian, surging towards his hands and condensing in his palms. Buzz! The saber light hummed. The power that erupted from Gu Fei's hands shook the saber light formed by the power of the Golden Saint Blade. Cracks appeared on the condensed saber light. What? The golden goddess was shocked and angry. This Gu Fei's physical strength was too strong. Could it be that this was the martial body that the ancestor had mentioned? Only our paragon bloodline can be invincible in the same realm. What is a martial body? The golden goddess screamed in her heart. Her supreme bloodline was the reason why she was so proud. Compared to ordinary cultivators, she had already left them far behind when she was still at the starting stage. Gu Fei had only cultivated a martial body, but it was even stronger than those born with a paragon bloodline. How could such a thing happen? The advantage of the paragon bloodline was nothing in front of Gu Fei. Kill! The golden goddess activated the power of the Tao soldier with all her strength. Her long hair fluttered without any wind. The golden saint blade in her hand displayed great divine might. The cracks on the saber light actually showed signs of being repaired. Break for me! Gu Fei roared as a terrifying power burst out from his body. The sleeves on his arms were instantly torn to shreds, revealing 2 bulging veins on his arms. The muscles on his arms were vibrating violently. Martial true energy erupted from Gu Fei's hands. Bang! The golden saber light shattered in the end, turning into specks of light that dissipated into the void. The golden goddess was sent flying. Blocked by the golden goddess, the undying divine medicine that was stuck in the valley took the opportunity to soar into the sky, once again disappearing without a trace. Damn it! Seeing that the undying divine tree was about to fall into his hands, it actually fled again. This caused Gu Fei to be infuriated. However, this wasn't the time to settle the score with the golden goddess. And at this moment, 18 ancient war chariots flew over the valley, causing the heavens and earth to tremble. The people from the central prefecture Immortal Manor had finally arrived. Gu Fei took a step forward and walked out of the valley, chasing in the direction where the tree of immortality had disappeared. This Gu Fei. The golden goddess was shocked to the extreme. Gu Fei was actually able to break the Tao soldier mystic ability that she had cultivated. This was truly hard for her to accept. One must know that this was one of the strongest mystic abilities she had cultivated. Swish. Silhouettes flickered as the golden goddess also chased after him. The undying divine tree seemed to be playing hide-and-seek with the crowd, constantly appearing and disappearing in the depths of this forbidden zone, causing the experts from all sides to fight continuously. Bang! Gu Fei clashed head-on with a tower-like human expert, sending that person flying. Boom! Zi Yinxiao suddenly appeared and attacked Gu Fei. The power of the 5 elements sealed the void, locking Gu Fei high up in the sky. If it was any other great completion quasi-sage, they would definitely be killed by the power of the 5 elements. However, Gu Fei, who was imprisoned by Zi Yinxiao's 5 elements great technique, had a martial physique at the great completion quasi-sage realm. The strength of his physical body was comparable to that of an ancient dragon and elephant. Gu Fei's body merely trembled slightly, and the power of the 5 elements was instantly dispersed. After that, he punched out, directly forcing Zi Yinxiao back. So you are Gu Fei. At this moment, a cold voice rang out from the dark void. 3 white silhouettes walked out from the primal chaos. When Gu Fei saw these 3 people, his eyes couldn't help but narrow. These 3 cultivators in white were none other than the 3 sons of the Central Prefecture. With the arrival of the 3 sons of the Central Prefecture, even Gu Fei felt a lot of pressure. Among the 3 sons of the Central Prefecture, Gu Fei had only fought with Wu Daoyi before. As for the other 2, he only met them today. From the aura they emitted, they were definitely stronger than Wu Daoyi. Scram. Gu Fei stared at the 3 sons of the Central Prefecture, and only said one word. You. Hearing this, the 3 sons of the Central Prefecture's expression changed. This Gu Fei was really arrogant. Ever since they started cultivating, no one had ever dared to speak to them like this. I would like to see if you have the qualifications to be arrogant. One of them took out a mirror and shone it at Gu Fei. The mirror emitted a wave of yin and yang energy. This was the famous yin-yang mirror. The cultivator in white was one of the 3 sons of the Central Prefecture, Yin-Yang Zi. This yin-yang mirror had 2 sides, one yin and one yang. Being shown by the yin side, no matter if it was a mortal or an immortal, they would die. Even their primordial spirit would be destroyed. However, being shown by the yang side, no matter how heavily injured the person was, they would recover in an instant. At this moment, the yin-yang mirror in Yin-Yang Zi's hand shone at Gu Fei's yin mirror. A destructive force spread out from the yin mirror. This force could extinguish all life. Gu Fei didn't say anything else. Since these people wanted to die, he would fulfill their wish. Boom! Gu Fei directly rushed up and forcefully broke the extinction mirror light on the yin-yang mirror. Then, he punched the yin-yang mirror in Yin-Yang Zi's hand. Crack! With a cracking sound, Yin-Yang Zi and the yin-yang mirror were sent flying by Gu Fei's punch. Yin-Yang Zi spat out a mouthful of blood in the air. This, Wu Daoyi and the other person were shocked. This Gu Fei was actually so powerful. Moreover, his strength was unparalleled. He actually sent Yin-Yang Zi, one of the 3 sons of the Central Prefecture, flying with a single punch. Buzz! Gu Fei exerted his strength. His martial body of the major completion quasi-sage realm emitted energy waves, causing the void around him to tremble. Transparent spatial ripples spread out. Wu Daoyi and the other person couldn't contend against Gu Fei and were directly forced back by Gu Fei. Little guy, you have the shadow of a martial ancestor on you. Just as Gu Fei forced Wu Daoyi and the other person to retreat, an old voice suddenly came from above his head. This caused Gu Fei's expression to change drastically. Someone had arrived above his head without him noticing. This person's cultivation was definitely far above his own. Chapter 2025. The old prefecture master of the Middle Continent Immortal Mansion had arrived. Although he had suffered a great loss in the battle with the Wood Qilin, he was still as powerful as ever. As soon as he arrived, he went up against Gu Fei. In the eyes of the old prefecture master, Lin Fan was an outstanding talent of the younger generation. However, in front of the undying god tree, No matter how outstanding he was, he had to step aside. "I don't want to attack you, but—" The old lord stood on the bronze chariot. Although he could no longer straighten his back and his head was full of white hair, his eyes were still flickering with a bright light. The old prefecture master had paid a great price in the battle just now. His chi and blood had deteriorated, as though he was on the verge of death. However, Gu Fei knew that although the old prefecture master's physical body seemed to be deteriorating, he was still extremely dangerous. He could sense a great threat from the old prefecture master. "You are a senior, but I still want to fight for it." Gu Fei lifted his head and looked at the old prefecture master standing on the bronze chariot in the sky. Even a self-proclaimed saint would not be able to force him to back down. The undying God tree was very important to him. It was related to becoming a saint. Even if he did not take the ancient road of the human race, it did not matter as long as he could obtain the undying God tree. Although Gu Fei had already obtained a fusion path fruit, it was still too little. "Greetings, old prefecture master." At this moment, the 3 sons of the Middle Continent had arrived. After seeing the old prefecture master, they hurriedly bowed to him. One must know that this old man was the true ruler of the Middle Continent Immortal Mansion. The current old prefecture master of the Middle Continent Immortal Mansion was merely the successor of this old man. The old prefecture master ignored the 3 sons of the Middle Continent and continued to speak to Gu Fei. "Since that's the case, let's leave it to fate. Rumble." After the old prefecture master finished speaking, he immediately drove the chariot in the direction where the undying God tree disappeared. A terrifying pressure emanated from the bronze chariot in all directions. Everyone knew that the old master of the Immortal Gods sect had arrived. They were all extremely shocked and hid far away. To them, the chance to obtain the legendary Immortal God tree had already been lost. Aside from a few people, all the human cultivators who entered the wild little world wanted to retreat. After all, the previous master of the Central Province Immortal Mansion was a sage who had sealed himself in the mortal world. One could well imagine the result of going against such an existence. Just a moment ago, even the insufferably arrogant lord of the restricted region was destroyed by this old man. Many people retreated from the restricted area. They did not want to participate in this fight, because it would cause them to lose their lives at any time. Even though the undying God tree was extremely important to every cultivator, no one was willing to take the risk knowing that they would be killed in this fight. It must be said that those who were able to enter the savage small world were all extraordinary people. The majority of the people realized this and left. Only an extremely small number of people still held on to hope and wanted to reap the benefits. Rumble. At this moment, a terrifying shockwave spread out from the center of the restricted area. Following that, the old master's hoarse voice rang out. "Would Qilin, you still want to make things difficult for me after your death?" A powerful force that could shake the entire savage small world erupted from the depths of the restricted area. The entire savage small world trembled. Countless living beings were terrified to the extreme. It was as if the world was going to end. "What's going on?" Gu Fei, who was facing off against the 3 sons of the Middle Continent, felt uneasy. The heaven and earth energy of the savage small world had suddenly become unstable. The 3 sons of the Middle Continent were bewildered as well. Even though the Middle Continent Immortal Mansion had yet to truly control this place, other than the restricted area, the other areas of the savage small world were all under their control. The only uncertain factor was the restricted area. Even though the lord of the restricted area was forced by the old master of the 9 dragons' heavenly fire formation to release all the seals on his body and died as a result, no one knew what else the lord of the restricted area had left behind. This part of the world is going to be destroyed. The chaotic heaven and earth energy was sensed by all the experts. This was the prerequisite for the destruction of the world. The heaven and earth energy had already lost its balance and became extremely chaotic. In the end, this part of the world would directly collapse and turn back into chaos. Boom! Suddenly, a loud sound came from the depths of the restricted area. After that, everyone felt a violent tremor under their feet. After that, they saw a surge of chaotic chi shooting up into the sky from the depths of the restricted area. The void began to shatter, and pitch-black spatial cracks extended out from the depths of the restricted area. Swish! A beam of divine light shot up into the sky, breaking through the void and disappearing high up in the sky. Some people chose to leave the savage small world and directly crush the talisman in their hands. This part of the world was really collapsing. Some people didn't want to be affected and directly left the savage small world. Before entering the savage small world, everyone received a talisman from the Middle Continent Immortal Mansion that allowed them to leave the savage small world. At this time, an ancient teleportation array in the Middle Continent Immortal Mansion suddenly emitted a ball of divine light. A figure walked out from the divine light. Someone finally came out from the savage small world. The disciples of the Middle Continent Immortal Mansion who were waiting outside the ancient teleportation array were immediately alarmed. At this time, there was a huge change in the savage small world. The Middle Continent Immortal Mansion's old chief once again displayed his supreme divine might. He did not hesitate to use the 9 dragons' divine fire pillar at the cost of his vitality, wanting to stop this self-destructing part of the world. Boom! The 9 pillars of fire appeared again. The supreme power of the divine path spread from the 9 pillars of fire, shocking the heavens. The originally chaotic power of the world was immediately suppressed. The collapse that occurred in the depths of the restricted area did not really spread. The chaotic chi was forcibly suppressed by the supreme power of the divine path. Gu Fei looked at the towering pillars of fire before him and directly crushed the talisman in his hand. A ball of divine light rushed out from his hand, wrapped around him, and then shot up into the sky. He knew that the fight for the Tree of Immortality was already over. Because the Tree of Immortality was no longer in this part of the world, he could no longer sense its aura. The Tree of Immortality might have escaped into the chaos. Divine light continued to shoot up into the sky, like meteors that defied the heavens. They shot up into the sky and then suddenly disappeared. The cultivators who entered the savage small world were leaving. The aura of the Tree of Immortality could be sensed in every corner of the savage small world. It was the unique fluctuation of the fruit of Wei when it ripened. However, at this time, no one could sense the aura that could allow one to comprehend the Wei. The 10 fiery clouds immediately stopped high in the sky. Set up camp. The old general's voice was once again transmitted into the ears of every fire cloud warrior, and the 10 fire clouds immediately descended from the sky into the mountain ridge. Soon enough, camps began to appear in the forest. The Phoenix Nest's great defensive formation had already been activated. That was a saint-rank great formation, and it would definitely be difficult to break through it in a short period of time. The old general was very cautious. He did not want to lose troops right from the start. These bastards, they actually didn't attack immediately. In the Phoenix Nest, the middle-aged Taoist expression was extremely solemn. The other party had come forcefully. If he attacked in one go, he could also dampen the other party's spirit. The opponent's cautiousness made the middle-aged Taoist feel a lot of pressure. It was not difficult to imagine that the other party was waiting. When they felt that they could break through the Phoenix Nest's great defensive formation, they would launch a thunderous attack and completely destroy the Phoenix Nest. Could it be that they are waiting for the Xian clan? Behind the middle-aged Taoist, the pale-faced gentleman said. This person was the second eldest of the 13 bandits. He was very powerful and was the core of the 13 bandits. Pass down the order. Defend with all your strength. We have to hold on until the Iron Blood Boss returns, the middle-aged Taoist said. Since the other party did not attack immediately, he had time to find the mole. He wanted to see who dared to betray the Iron Blood 13 flags. At this time, the Iron Blood Taoist was still on his way. Even with his cultivation, it would take him 1 or 2 days to return to the Phoenix Nest from the Middle State Immortal Abode. Swoosh! A teleportation platform in a city lit up. A ball of divine light appeared, and 2 figures walked out. They were Gu Fei and the Iron Blood Taoist. The Iron Blood Taoist had decided to follow Gu Fei. He was willing to serve Gu Fei as his master. Since his subordinates were in trouble, Gu Fei naturally would not sit idly by and allow the Iron Blood 13 flags to be destroyed. Thus, Gu Fei and the Iron Blood Taoists rushed to the Phoenix Nest. However, even if they used the teleportation platforms in the cities of the Middle State, it would take them at least a day to rush back to the Phoenix Nest. Moreover, the entire Middle State was not peaceful at this time. Some cities were heavily guarded, and even the teleportation formations in the cities were sealed. They were afraid that the enemy would use the teleportation platforms to kill their way into the city. Gu Fei and the Iron Blood Taoist encountered such a situation a few times. As soon as they appeared on the teleportation platform, countless ritual implements came crashing at them. If it were not for the fact that Gu Fei and the Iron Blood Taoist were much stronger than the attackers, they would have been injured. The Middle State Immortal Abode could no longer take care of these forces. The Middle State was in chaos. The forces of the Middle State wanted to take advantage of the Middle State Immortal Abode's lack of time to deal with them. They wanted to seize more territory. By the time the people of the Middle State Immortal Abode returned and had the ability to suppress the chaos, the Middle State had already been completely reshuffled. The outcome was already set. Even the Middle State Immortal Abode had nothing to say. Why did the Ziyun clan suddenly attack the Iron Blood 13 flags? Gu Fei was puzzled. Didn't they say that no one knew where the Phoenix Nest was? Did someone capture the core disciples of the Iron Blood 13 flags and force them to reveal the location of the Phoenix Nest? There might be a traitor among us, the Iron Blood Taoist said hatefully. Traitor! A cold light flashed through Gu Fei's eyes. There was a traitor among the Iron Blood 13 flags. Who was it? Could it be one of the 13 bandits? A traitor was not a small matter. Gu Fei and the Iron Blood Taoist continued towards the celestial Venerate city. At this time, the city had already been sealed. The 10 divisions sent by the Ziyun clan had already set off. There was news that the 100,000 Fire God soldiers of the Fire God Palace had already arrived a few thousand miles away from the city. They had already set up camp. In the celestial Venerate city's lord's residence, Lord Zhao Wuji glanced at the officials and generals on his left and right with a gloomy expression. His might without anger made the officials and generals on both sides tremble in fear. Zhao Wuji had already noticed the movements of the 10 divisions of the Ziyun clan, but he did not expect them to move so quickly. Report.